like a summer sunset, doing things that I shouldn't, but it helps me reset. I'm fucked up, but it's fine, yeah. Anything to forget that it's all in my head. In my head, my head, my head. In my head, my head, my head. Get out of my head. Get out of my, get out of my head. Get out of my, get out of my head. Get out of my, get out of my head. In my head, my head, my head. My head don't feel like it used to. I miss my homies, yeah. The thing we had discontinued, but I'm not lonely yet. I don't wanna talk about it anymore. Yeah, I'm drinking cause I'm bored, down by behind locked doors, yo. In my head, my head, my head. In my head, my head, my head. Get out of my head. Get out of my, get out of my head. Get out of my, get out of my head. Get out of my, get out of my head. In my head, my head, my head. In my head, my head, my head. In my head, my head, my head.
everybody, and welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena. You're watching our coverage of the NACE Valorant Fall 2022 preseason. And over 70 teams are going to be competing across 11 divisions, and they're looking to advance to the bracketed national finals. Boise State is currently in the Western Central Division, looking to pick up a win tonight against Irvine Valley. My name is Brendan Ladd. Joined with me to call all of the action is Jacob Jem Palmer. So we're kicking things off tonight on Icebox. What is something you're hoping to see tonight now with the new patch as well?
Well, the new patch doesn't change too much except for what was changed in Pearl, which thankfully the team is banned, so we're not going to see it. Still kind of in that awkward phase where no one really likes the new stage. But what we're doing today is the first in-house match that the Boise State Broncos are going to be playing. They're up on the stage. I think there's going to be a completely new dynamic with the team playing in person. I think it's going to be great that there are going to be some people there to cheer them on. It's the opening of a new season. We're kind of gauging where everyone's going to be talent-wise, so this is the opportunity for the Broncos to make a statement to show what can expect going forward.
Yeah, especially as a preseason game, this is where a lot of teams will also get the first impression of the new Boise State team. We only have 2 returning players from our last season, and so going into it, what's some changes you're hoping to see from our prior team over to this new one?
You know, I mainly just hope that they can look at the field that they are given forward here and being able to plan against every team accordingly. You know, you're talking about things that are going to be changing and new teams that Boise State is going to be up against. So currently to kind of go over how this tournament is working, there's a bunch of different divisions that everyone's playing in. The top 2 or 3 teams from each division are going to move on to the finals. And in this particular division, the West Central that Boise State is playing in, there are a few teams that could give them a run for their money. They're going to go up against Wichita State, which is a team we've already faced in other tournaments that Boise State has actually lost to. So it's going to be interesting, as you said, talking about the 2 players that are still on the team from the team that lost to Wichita State versus the new players. Yeah, we got a mix of old players with a grudge and new players with something to prove. So I think actions are kind of going to speak louder than words. We can kind of talk all about, you know, what we think the team is going to do, but it's really just going to be the gameplay tonight that shows us how well the Valorant team has been preparing.
Well, we want to give them all the help they can get, and so we're going to go ahead and toss it to Doc's keys to the game. And in Valorant, that's to focus angles and flank, know your win condition, count cards, call abilities, and of course click heads, as important in any FPS. And these are brought to us by Drop-In Gaming, who is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you to begin your competitive gaming journey. Sign up at dropingaming.com. As we take a look for the event card tonight, it is going to be a traditional Valorant match of 5v5 in a best of 3, first to 13, and we will be taking off against Irvine Valley, a team that I believe we have faced maybe once before, but we're going to see a couple new faces showing up tonight as we're getting ready to kick things off with map number 1 being Icebox. Map number 2 is going to be Ascent, and if we make it to a map number 3, it's going to be Bind.
Icebox, one of those stages that, you know, had a bit of an icy start with the teams. Not a lot of people liked it really at opening. A lot of people just always went toward A, but Riot's been reworking this stage time and time again. Most recent changes made a lot of changes toward B, especially around yellow. So I think Icebox is a stage now that a lot of people are kind of warmed up to. They like it. You can go A or B. As we mainly see the loadouts that are going to be coming out here are kind of standard, what you see for Icebox. We do have both players doing the Viper, which is kind of a mandatory pick because point B is so wide open. You'll need that wall to kind of close off your sidelines.
Sage as well.
Yeah, Sage as well. So whether it's a gas wall or an ice wall, a lot of walls are going to be going up, hopefully trapping some people in. We always like to see those kind of cheeky plays. As we're ready to start out here, which team is going to make the statement? Boise State starting characteristically in blue.
Also, no neon for that additional wall. So only 2 walls this game, thankfully. But it seems that they want to play a little bit more defensively here, starting out on the defense. But already losing 3 players to Murky with a huge triple right out the gate.
Yeah, Boise State took rather aggressive peek there towards B. They moved so far up toward Irvine Valley's spawn that just that triple that Irvine Valley caught up there is really going to make this job difficult for the 2 remaining Boise State players. There's that wall that we were talking about, going to set things up. It's going to go, a plant is going to head down. We're going to see a Prowler come out as well, trying to take where Boise State is. We see Boise State positioning in this familiar position up on the 2nd floor. Are they going to be able to take anyone out? Not going to be able to get any exit frags there. And Oldham is going to find himself in probably a world of pain right now.
It's only a 1v5 situation. He'll be able to hold his own, or at least play to stay alive at this point, as the team for Irvine Valley is definitely going for the slow push. They do have the Viper wall up to at least have that barricade on top of the Sage wall. They really committed both of them, but the Sage is going to go for a push, and Oldham's going to pick up a double headshot, no less.
Oh,
very
my
clean
goodness.
out with a triple. Irvine Valley's a bit overextending. It cost him 3 lives.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good omen for Boise State. They are able to kind of make up that credit difference, maybe make it so that they can get some good purchases later on in the round. I think it was just kind of that early on positioning error that cost Boise so much, cost them 3 players. Now we're going to get back into the game. Irvine Valley starting off 1-0, but you also got to remember that these 2 first pistol rounds can be just a little bit screwy. They're not kind of the standard game mode. They're like playing a completely different game. So even if Irvine Valley goes 2-0, Boise State still has a lot of day left.
I mean, Murky, you got the judge, so I am sadly going to say I'm rooting for you because I love seeing any shotgun plays, but also one of the players of Irvine Valley is bringing out the new Stinger that was recently tweaked, so I believe it has a little bit more interesting recoil for longer periods of burst fire, so we'll have to see if that will play out here as Boise State only trading health so far, 2 members on each side at half.
Yeah, Boise State going for the complete save here is just sticking with their classics. Wanted to make sure they go to a full buy next round. Right now, Boise State JBag is just going to take a little bit of a peek through mid. It's just going to take out a little bit of util. Irvine Valley moving up towards A in 1 coordinated push. Valley's going to head off, clear some room for the chamber. Wall goes up to split things up and give their flanker a little bit of security, but it's not going to matter if Dimeout can just shoot over that wall and take out Irvine Valley. Boise State off to a good start, but there goes that frenzy we were talking about. It is going to tear right through the Broncos, and with the help of a Spectre as well, Irvine Valley picks up the 2nd round.
Boise State was all stacked up on that Sage wall. As soon as they broke it, there was an amazing swing, and just 2 members went down just like that. It's the same thing that happened in round 1. Boise State 2 stacked up, and it cost them because they were just in the way. Friendly fire is enabled, and it's costing them.
It certainly feels like friendly fire is enabled. Sometimes it feels that way.
They have the restraint not to fire, but then they can't fire back, so they just all get wiped out.
Sure. Well, Irvine Valley is now going to keep the weapons they had, go for the bonus on round 3. If they do win this, that means a huge credit advantage.
And Boise State's economy is hurting because they had to buy here. So if they lose this, they're going to be so far behind.
I mean, they should definitely have the gun advantage here and have the ability to take these long sidelines. You see them moving up mid. They're actually moving up through tube. And Boise State, their Silva is just kind of looking down through mid, but looks like they might be rethinking their initial push. They're going to put up.
They do have the Viper's Pit.
Yep, that is pretty darn early for them to have it. So
it would definitely be an interesting play.
They would. They could use that either on the choke point to try to push through A here, or they could use it on the plant site itself. So they go back towards A. It's worked out pretty well for them. There, the Fate's going to throw out a bit of util, trying to get the locations of Boise State. Skies to teleport away. They go in for planting yet again. There's the Viper's Pit to cover the spike site.
All right.
Can Boise State recover? They definitely have the guns. You can see, oh my goodness, that is just some filthy soundtracking right there. They just kind of guess where Boise State is, and Boise State has no idea where Irvine Alley is right now. J-Bank is the only one to get a pick. Now Rare turning it around. Murky with that judge. Unfortunately, I think you're getting what you ask for here, Brenner. They're doing a little bit too well on that judge.
I mean, Danny with the Sheriff alone going up against multiple members of Boise State and winning that gunfight is a very sad sight for Boise State, especially after just you have the gun advantage, and then you lose to a Sheriff with a clean through-the-wall headshot onto Skies. that is impressive nonetheless. And huge respect to Irvine Valley committing the Viper's Pit to get the plant and force Boise State to kind of be in an uncomfortable position that they then lose on top of. Irvine Valley really capitalizing in these early rounds. Now Boise State economy is in shambles.
It does look like they're going to kind of switch up their strategy, which I like if you're kind of going for a thrifty round. We often see teams just charging the other team, taking them a little bit off guard, pushing up, and Oldham is going to be able to trade 1-for-1. Dimeout gets taken out by Murky. But overall, when you're just in a save round, you know, trading 1-for-1 isn't necessarily the worst thing. It's just trying to gradually take the credits away from the other team, build yourself back up towards where you need to be. Right now, Irvine Valley hitting out a lot in B garage, but they haven't thrown up the wall towards B, so they haven't committed to either point quite yet. They're trying to keep their options open.
Yeah, losing the Viper definitely denied a lot of their rotation ability because losing that wall and everything. But Sky's holding this down with the Headhunter. Will be able to win the mirror match against Mola. So we lose their chamber, but he had not even used his TP. But they push up, might be able to get the guns off the corpses. But Irvine Valley is so slow on these rotations, finally going for A yet again. Boise State, this is the first time we've seen Boise State with a numbers advantage going into a fight.
They're going to throw up the Viper wall, make it a little bit harder to push up. Wolf from Irvine Valley throws out the util. Gunfire exchange on the point. The Prowler gets right in the face of Oldham, and the wall goes up to protect Irvine Valley planting. They are going to get that sucker down. And now Boise State has to fight even. J-Bag opening it up to a 3-on-2. Boise State definitely has a chance here. They go and pick up the gun. They know where the two players are. Can the now remaining Bronco respond?
With 9 health?
I don't know. He's got
he has the wing from behind.
He's got one. Just one.
They had the high ground, so Danny will take it. But that was the closest Boise State has gotten so far, with only one member surviving on Irvine Valley. They're definitely slowly learning how Irvine Valley has been playing so far. Again, it's still very early rounds. There hasn't been much of a equalizer for the guns yet so far. There's always been a team that has the upper hand, but Irvine Valley with these rotations consistently has just been able to get the angles that Boise State has not been prepared for.
Speaking of guns, we're going to have full purchases for this round, so this is probably the most even round in terms of weapons that we have seen thus far. Autumn taking kind of a risky, well, not too risky. It looks like he's going to be trying to wall off garage. The problem is he going to respect that sideline? He's just going to go in for the ultimate point to be able to bring that res online. I like that. Prowler heads out on point. Skies, Boise State is still maintaining these sidelines, just waiting for Irvine Valley to come to them.
Yeah, they really love pushing this A side, so Boise State needs to have an answer for it. Here's this grab, but doesn't get the elimination, teleports out, so instead, Reyna's going to get it, so wins the mirror match, at least. They still think he's there, so TP on the side of Boise State. So they weren't able to. Now has to push through the Viper smoke, realizes he's not there, can push up a little bit more, but you've seen so many teams in the past not check your corners, and it's cost them dearly. So at least we've seen Irvine Valley making sure to check those corners. They do have res available, and it's used.
Yeah, probably one of the most important ultimates that can be brought in the game. They've essentially reset everything. Boise State is going to take a peek up through the wall, try to catch one of the members of Irvine Valley, moving through that choke point. That's where they got the first pick. Can they get another? Yes, indeed they can. Daimo's going to start things off by eliminating Volk. What's he looking for now? He tries to throw off the shocker, but the jet gets right in his face with the dash. And Irvine Valley has brought this back to 2-2.
But Boise State has the res, so they could bring it back. They also committed the KO ult. And there's the res as well, so they have numbers advantage with the high ground.
Res and gets them from above. These sneaky angles that Irvine Valley are finding are just proving too much for the Broncos.
Once again, Broncos just falling issue to being too stacked up in the moment. Right as the res comes up, all three of them are standing right there. KO's even standing in front of the Sage with his ult up, so he could even be revived at the same time. Boise State maybe want to split up to 2-2s rather than 3-2 at this point, especially with how hard Irvine Valley has been pushing A again and again, and Boise State not being able to adapt, and now we're on to round 6. Boise State has no economy to match this. They have Sheriffs at best, but Irvine Valley sit pretty with any gun they can want.
You don't necessarily want to disrespect the sheriff, though. If you got a good head
I'm ready
clicker,
for it.
Boise State can turn this around, and you also see tour de force has been brought out by Boise State. Skies is holding down mid, just waiting for one person to peek through. Oh, and this Jet is being very cautious, actually going to go for A instead. Irvine Valley is playing this well. They're not picking up through, but there you go. Skies picking up the first elimination with that tour de force. Is anyone else going to peek through mid? Dimeout gets the headshot he's looking for on A.
There's the sheriff you mentioned earlier, taking down Murky. So Boise State has the odds.
Nightfall brought out by Irvine Valley. That's going to clear Boise State off of the A point. In they go. Brawler is sent out and not going to find anyone. As Skies is holding down the upper.
Hunter's Fury.
We see Hunter's Fury being brought out as the plant goes through. Not quite seen from this angle whether it got any dinks or any sort of damage. It doesn't look like it actually from the health bars. Yeah. And Aldum is taking out the sheriff.
With how much Irvine Valley has been playing the high ground on this A side, I'm surprised Boise State has not tried to put up more countermeasures up there to deny it. Instead, Dynamo's just going to take down Volk, but Bola with a great flank for the second time.
This chamber has been a menace. Bola has just been getting doubles, triples. When Boise thinks that they are able to even it up, Bola comes out of nowhere, gets the flank on Boise State where they're least expecting it. And Boise State has just... They got to start thinking about where Bola is rotating to, because he is on a roll. Look, he's got the Champions Karambit already glowing. I mean, he's having fun.
Yeah, Skies did do very well with this tour de force, and so did Dynamo, able to at least pick up a double for himself. So Boise State slowly trying to at least even the odds during the rounds, but they still have yet to break this 6-round win streak that Irvine Valley's on. I think a timeout would suit them very well to try to slow down the momentum that they're building up. Give Boise State the ability to kind of regroup, get back in the right headspace, and come back with a game plan, because Irvine Valley is just rolling over them.
Boise State now going for this aggressive garage peek that we have seen before. It didn't work out for them the first time. They're going to get the attention of the Viper. Take Viper out. That's going to close off B for Irvine Valley. They have to go A again. That's where they have thrived for so long. Boise State is just going to be happy to cling the old point and go back to some defensive positions on B.
Yeah, they even committed the Viper's Pit all the way on A pretty early, I would say, but I think it's definitely something that they needed to commit here just to try to deny Irvine Valley's pressure. And with such an early elimination onto the enemy Viper of Murky as well, when she had her own pit available, was big value gain for Boise State.
And I'm not going to rest easy if Bola is still on the field. Irvine Valley, you need to take this man out. He has to have the big story on his back. Not going to take him out, but I'll take a pick onto Sadachi any day. Skies now makes it 3 and 5. Boise State waiting to try to get the angle on the Viper.
Nice.
Goes with the collateral with the Phantom, and is able to make it 4-on-1. But of course, it's the threat we've all been looking for. It's the final boss fight at the end, if you will. Can Bola be able to outsmart all the members of Boise State? We're going to find out now as he moves in to start planning. He's just going to fake them on the plan, and they trade 1-for-1. Boise State finally picking up their first round.
That is the one situation of a 1-for-1 you always want to take as Boise State. You're up 4-1. It was the best thing that Irvine Valley could do, and there's the timeout. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Interesting that they take it after they had won the round, but I still think it is a smart decision nonetheless. The timeout can definitely slow down the momentum of Irvine Valley, give Boise State a time to recuperate, come up with a game plan going into it, because we're getting closer and closer to that swap that I don't think Boise State is quite ready yet for, because Irvine Valley has just been such a dominating force on the battlefield.
Well, it can be always kind of hard to tell whether a team is going to be more comfortable on offense or defense, even though Irvine Valley is up to an insane start. If Boise State gets something going here, it's still within the realm of possibility they could end this half 6-6, which would be quite a huge recovery. We've seen it many times here on Valorant before. If they're learning who the key players are on Irvine Valley, I'm looking at you, Bola, and learning how to play around him, it seems like that's the main thing. It seems like Bola really likes trying to take these off angles and trying to get the flanks on Boise State. So the Broncos probably just need to make sure that they're dotting their T's and crossing their I's in terms of sidelines. They are checking every possible one that Bola could be brought through, because he's going to try to take advantage of the elevation changes, maybe take you out from the second floor. Skies on this op, finding a way to make it work, but he has to settle for small shields. Speaking of ops, also, Bola is going to be bringing out that tour de force, so that could be a very nasty thing Boise State has to deal with.
Yeah, it's going to come down to that sniper off of who could get the earlier pick. On top of that, and I think it's going to come down to Boise State's positioning. They've been stacked up in a costume, so they're playing a lot more split here, but with Aldum on the Sage all the way by themselves, even picking that long angle was definitely a huge risk, but Irvine Valley pushed that pretty aggressively and closed that gap.
Yes, I don't know if the animation was just that pretty, but it certainly wasn't worth it if you're going to get taken out. Boise State now down 4-5. That's going to force their Sova to hold down B completely solo. They still have 2 watching over A, and neither of these chambers are really moving that much. As soon as I say that, Boise State's chamber repositioning, but Irvine Valley's has just been sticking on this mid sideline for so long. Boise State isn't even jump peeking it. They're trying to maybe jiggle peek it here, but that's going to be the evening up Boise State is looking for. That opens it up on A, but Irvine Valley trading 1 for 1, drives it back to a 1-person advantage, and they're going to use that as the green light to put down the Viper's Pit, get the spike down, and now Boise State has to retake, which is something that's been so hard for them to do repeatedly on A.
Yeah, A site has been Irvine Valley's bread and butter, especially now with the Viper's Pit. Boise State is just going to have to go right up there, able to use the drone and at least get information on Soda, so they will go down. So the 3v3, but with the tour de force coming out here, J-Bag will go down. Bola's #1 threat. Skies, he had the sneaky play going. He had that alt walk. He was making it way, but as soon as he saw the silhouette of an Irvine Valley player, they had that collapse and he went down. So Boise State, their economy is hurting them right now.
Unfortunately for Boise State, they're just kind of losing the fundamentals here and just trying to click heads. You saw kind of the showdown between the Chamber and Boise State, and in that sort of situation, if you have tour de force, you've got to make sure that you hit that headshot every single time to be able to take him out. And Boise State had a small window of time, I think about, you know, maybe 0.3 of a second, so it was definitely within the realm of possibility for them. Just when the time came down to clutch, they weren't able to do it. So they're going to have to go back to the Sheriff for their head clutching abilities, also bringing out a Guardian.
Yeah, Irvine Valley's Jet very quick with that updraft down through B main, but no bullets were exchanged, or HP for that matter, as a nice clean 1-tap from Bola is going to come out onto J-Bag, who's peeking that mid again.
Boise State is just kind of weaving back and forth on B. This is the first time we've really seen Irvine Valley trying to take B. They're going to use the Nightfall to try to clear out some space. Throw down a bunch of util. Oldham and Marina, we're waiting for that one, however. They're going to pick up a double, drive it down to just 3, and more importantly, Bola's out of the picture. So now Irvine Valley might try to go on the rotation toward A. It looks like they're considering that. The question is Boise State going to be going over to A to try to take the side itself, or are they going to try to peek through mid?
With time not on their side, Irvine Valley might just have to full commit to B here because all their players are on that side.
30 seconds
as
left.
the remaining 2 and 2. I like this 2 and 2 split between Boise State right now. They have 1 holding down the mid, 1 all the way over by A, and 2 on B. They know they're going for the B push thanks to that Sage wall, but as soon as it goes down, all of them will be able to pick up Volk, but Spike has already been playing it, so Boise State now has to get on the aggression here. They do have the res if need be. Hope that they save before the next round.
Dama looking for any sort of rotation toward mid. Lucky for him, that's not going to be too much of a factor right now.
1 enemy remaining.
Eldum's going to be moving into defuse. Sky's taking out 1. It's just down to the Viper. Being able to take out 1, playing the post plant with the Viper bite. But Boise State is already half stuck. If they realize that they can just go for it, take the point. And that is a huge swap around for the Broncos. Not only do they get the win, but more importantly, they didn't do full purchase that round. They're able to pick up all of Irvine Valley's weapons. That'll really help where they have been lacking.
Yeah, being down 5 rounds right now, getting a huge one like that of, as you mentioned, picking up the guns and not having to spend. Boise State has to be feeling good after that. The only thing they need to worry about is going to be the Blade Storm coming out from this Jet, who, since was eliminated, will not have to buy and just be able to use the blades the whole time. Something they'll definitely have to be watching out, especially in A. The close quarters is going to favor her her with this Blade Storm, and she is going to pop it immediately. Boise State at least has the res to try to counterbalance it in case they lose that fight too hard. But it's going to be up to Skies on this chamber to pick up Bola first. That is a huge win for Boise State because Bola's just been such a key player for Irvine Valley.
Top fragger down for Irvine Valley. The thing that they have been really smart about, though, is they haven't picked up the spike or moved it in any compromising position. So Boise State isn't going to get information on where that is. Looks like they are trying to commit toward A with just one person. Their Viper, that's Murky, looking through tube. Just maybe trying to catch out a Boise State rotation once they realize that the planting is going to be going through on A. Sodachi hasn't used any of the knives. Rotating up toward point. Daimao has the sight line. Sodachi takes him out with the knives. And by left-clicking there, that's going to refill all of those knives. Make Boise State's job just a little bit harder, but it's still 4-4. And even their Sage, you know, that res is a possibility. And they know where Murky is. They're going to take the 2-on-1. They're very disciplined. I like it. Give them the numbers advantage as they try to retake an even bigger numbers advantage as the res goes through.
Yeah, if they can win this run without taking another loss, and of course, as I'm saying, that's Sodachi coming out with the daggers, being a huge playmaker for his team. But J-Back with the nice flank. Sodachi gets another one! But finally, Boise State is able to collapse on it, and they get the round victory. It's the first win streak we've seen of game number 2 for Boise State right now. They want to at least try to get as close as they can to even things out before the swap. And this is the furthest economy advantage that they've had so far. Boise State has to be feeling good, now even bringing out the tour de force.
We can take a look at a replay over the last. It seems like anyone from Irvine Valley could be the one to pop off. Sodachi really showing that he has some experience on this Jet, being able to take them all out. Remember, you know, it used to be that Jet on the Blade Storm could just right-click and then refill, but making sure that you have to left-click is going to really demand. I am interested in what Skies is bringing. Oh, Skies has the tour de force. Well, yeah. I thought he was just going for the cheek. No, it's just one of those. Never mind. He's going for the standard play, and that's a jump peek from Bola. Gets the dink onto Skies and already forces him to rotate back. Meanwhile, Autumn has been doing work, but it's answered back by a double from Sodachi, so down to 3-3, and Boise State isn't quite able to make things work. Sodachi again gets a triple. Boise State now brings it 2-2 with Skies on the tour de force. Might go for the Vandal here. Now has the complete view.
I mean,
down
both
B.
ultimates have been committed. They at least have the KO. Casey goes down. Oh, saw the shoulder.
Yeah, not going to fall for that. He makes the shot. J-Bag proving to be the savior for Boise State. It is now down to 1-1, and J-Bag does not have the health advantage. Might get taken out by the Viper's Pit. Irvine Valley.
Only 12
Oh, he
health.
is unable. I thought he might be able to get the flank there. But he's going to have to take, a standard sideline onto Irvine Valley.
At her defuse.
He tries to juke them out by throwing out the gun. Oh, no. You can't be... No. Okay. Yeah, no. You couldn't get away. That would have been a bit too cheeky and disrespectful for my taste there.
Last round in
Murky even survives. The spike does not go off, but I think the gun pickup over to the knife and dropping it really actually hurt Boise State there, because had they just gone for the defuse, I think he would have gotten it. She would have gone for the check. He might have hurt her, but time was not on his side. It was just that last-second decision that ended up costing him, and props to Murky for at least staying close, not trying to run away to possibly save the up. He knew one was left alive, but the Viper's bite got him down to 12. Huge props to J-Bag, just able to stick that out. We're nearing the end of the first round before the swap, and First Blood going over to Volk, taking down all of them in mid, I believe that was.
Daimao's not going to find himself in a world of hurt. Has to shoot through Garage, but doesn't have the sight thanks to that Prowler. So it's going to end with a 1-1 trade, and Danny uses the res to throw Irvine Valley back up to full strength. But it looks like they were just kind of going to poke and prod at B and not actually go for the plant. They're rotating back through mid toward A. Skies is just going to quickly bring out the shorty to take out that Prowler. The problem is that was enough of a time delay that Irvine Valley was able to get past mid. They dropped the Viper's Pit, making this a very difficult post plant for Boise State to retake.
Yeah, not to finish it with your feet are exposed. Now the Nightfall coming out as well. Irvine Valley's looking to close this out strong here. as only one member of Boise State is remaining, but he gets it with the shorty. I respect that as Murky follows it up with the knife of their own. So Boise State is still trying to fight tooth and claw here.
The standard 3-9, the start of many retakes and rallies from the team trailing to actually win it in the end, so we'll see if Boise State can do that. But I think the main thing that's really standing out to me here is just kind of the quality of peaking from both teams, because both these teams, they definitely have their snappers. They got their long-range play. They're bringing out the Vandals. And in that situation, you really have to be good at kind of being skilled at the jump peeking and the jiggle peeking, just trying to get that initial shot out from the other team. And I'm seeing a lot of that from Irvine Valley, but I'm not seeing that from Boise State. If anything from Boise State, I'm seeing a little bit of sloppiness from them in that scenario. One of them got caught out watching their knife animation, which, you know, can be a bit rough, but
nice
Boise
to look
State,
at, but not really.
They just got to be a bit more cautious about when they realize they're actually moving into a sideline.
Yeah, Boise State, as we go into the side swap, now on the attack, having a strong push mid, going right past Murky on that Viper who's up top, but they were scouted out by the chamber utility, so we're going to fall back just a little bit, try to reclaim space and go for a rotation, but Bola on this chamber holding B main is going to be a huge issue for them, because if he gets 1 or 2 picks, he did his job. And
in characteristic fashion, he is not going for a standard play. Yep, that's the main problem that's been. Bola loves to take his high vantage points. Boise State isn't expecting him to be.
It's another one. B. Boise State has just not been respecting the verticality of Icebox. Finally, J-Bag is able to bring it back and stop Bola. His just kill streak at this point, but in a 2v3 situation,
last player standing,
gonna have to do their best to defend the plane with only 1 remaining, and the Jet Jazz is right past him. He's getting all surrounded, and Irvine Valley will end up taking the first round of Boise State's attack.
This is a situation where Boise State has to find themselves to get 1 pistol win. Once it goes up to 11, the other team, Irvine Valley, is going to have so much control to force Boise State's purchases out. Boise State is not going to be in a situation where they can really save for 1 round, try to go for the other. It's just going to have to be win all the time. And once you have that position to basically control control the tempo of the whole game, it was really difficult for someone to rally back. So I would say this is probably one of the most important rounds coming up here.
Yeah, economy is just going to be on the Broncos' minds. Early shot here onto A with only 2 members of Irvine Valley on point. J-Bag goes for slow push in mid with the help of Rihanna, but once again, stacked right on top of each other, denies that early shot he might have had. So stay with these rotations. Really costing him now. Now Irvine Valley knows what push they're going for with how much utility they've already committed to this A site.
Seems like both teams are well aware that A is going to be the battleground. State is trying to get the double team, at least beat them out with a shot, but Murky with the Spectre is just going to be too much of a threat for Boise State to deal with. Another with the Frenzy, a double. Now Danny with a double. Irvine Valley goes to 11.
And flawless.
And you definitely see what Boise State's trying to do. I mean, you're trying to see the double peaks that they're setting up. I think it's just kind of the mechanical skill where it's like the plays that they're trying to set up have the right idea, but like double peeking is like one of the fundamentals in Valorant. You know, you're trying to set up that 2-on-1 so one person can't aim. But you got to make sure that one is swinging wider than the other. Yes. Otherwise, you're setting up a collateral for the other players. So.
Which has happened multiple times in this match so far. So I hope going into the next map that Boise State will be able to bring it back, as Irvine Valley has such a strong footing here. This was their first map pick, so going into Haven, that was Boise State's pick. So they'll be feeling a bit more comfortable there at home. But this is Icebox. This is one of the quintessential Valorant maps that did take some time for players to love, but everyone got there all the same. So nice push up through mid. Again, this double peek.
Simply blind the teammate.
But Murky wins it. Even with gun advantage, Rana was not able to take it, so J-Bag immediately gives up all that space they took to try to deal with the Fade, who threw out the Haunt, but was quickly eliminated.
Boise State favoring A. Without that help from the Viper, B is just going to be too hard to take, especially since Irvine Valley. Actually, C, Bola has already brought out the Marshall. This scenario here, I really like that gun pick. I'll talk more about it later, but right now Boise State has to make their way through the choke point. And on, we've seen a lot of defensive utility thrown down by Danny to try to stop their movement. He's going to use that wall to his advantage, take out J-Bag before he's eliminated. It's a 1-to-1 trade with Boise State now down one person. Bola not going to get the advantage on the high ground as much as he wanted. Alden with a triple. It's down to just one, who just has to play the post-plant game.
Boise taking their own strat, finally going for the high ground on the first time. Sees Murky, gets beautiful play. And finally, Boise State with their very own clutch off the backs of Aldum and Dynamo.
And this is a very crucial win for them to get, because the ability for Boise State to be able to purchase the full shields is going to matter greatly. If you're not able to purchase the full shields, then that Marshall can become just as deadly as an op for a lot less of the price. So I like the strategy I was seeing from Irvine Valley. They realized, hey, if we get enough of a lead here, we can just basically guarantee we'll have a cheap op every round, because Boise State isn't going to have the ability to full purchase.
And here they are, getting very closer and closer to each round being able to full purchase, but Boise State needs to continue this hopefully win streak after finally picking that one up.
But they're not out of the woods yet. You see Dynamo having to still settle for those small shields. Even though that was technically a win, it was just one person at the very end, so not the biggest credit swing over to the Broncos.
They found my trap.
So the gadget goes down for Skies. They do have a pretty good push onto B right now, but he's going to have to watch out for both the Fade and the Viper. And as he swings it, he gets it against Volk, because Murky had just turned their back second too late. So we all know is the curse of any FPSs. As soon as you look away, they're going to swing it. But right now,
how did Bola even get that? That is absolutely filthy from that distance. Oldham is going to try to even it up. We also hear Tour de Force brought out by Bola. He was that good with the Vandal from that distance. I do not want to think what he's like with the Tour de Force. Boise State has gotten the plant down, and that's crucial. It means they don't have to really go out. They can take more favorable defensive sidelines unless Danny just drops down from above. J-Bag now has to go up 2-1. Can he get Bola on our Bengal? He turns the cab. It's just 1-1. Can Boise State get it? He's going to throw out the Molly. He doesn't have any blind. He got it! He won't get it, but the flick was so clutch for the Broncos. They are just getting by the skin of their teeth.
I mean, Irvine Valley even committing the Tour de Force was a bit of a cheeky play there. They definitely thought they had it in the bag, but you cannot underestimate J-Bag when he's quite literally put in a corner. He outperformed it. They were both looking at the same angle as well. It seems Irvine Valley is, the longer it goes on, has not been able to keep up performance so far. Now Boise State has both the res and the KO. They're looking good for this next round. They should even have the economy advantage going into this.
You would think, but because they're spending so much, because it's only being decided by one person, it's not a big of credit advantage as they would want from those two wins. They're going to throw up the wall and bring out the KO. Everyone's playing CSO right now. They're not going to have access to the abilities. J-Bag is going to take too much of a peek through the wall and get taken out, but it's traded back by Arena. Now Dymo is bringing it up to 4v3 for Boise. He's going to try to go up to the position to res, but it's going to pay for, he's going to pay for that as well. They are able to get the plant down. Dymo on the post-plant game. The wall's going to go off the Sage. Hey! Reads it, knows the Sage is coming through that gap and takes him out. Boise State has now won 3 in a row.
This is where momentum that we've talked about so many times is so vital in Valorant, and that I wouldn't be surprised to see Irvine Valley bring out their timeout here, because Boise State is just going right now. And even trying to use J-Bag as maybe a little bit of bait, trying to go for the res, stalling him out may have worked in Boise State's favor at costing them the teammate, as Skies, Reyna, and Dymo get the last 3 remainers. Irvine Valley falling apart.
Take flight.
Dymo starting things out by throwing out the out drone, immediately gets taken down by Danny. Irvine Valley has set up this very nasty kind of upper floor composition that they have just been thriving in. Bola taking his familiar position, but Boise State is ready for him this time. He drops down and Boise State takes him out. They're going to use their own res to bring them back up to full strength. This is a great position for the Broncos to charge back towards a victory. With all that wall, the only thing Volk is going to be able to try to do is spray through. Sky's taking a bit of an awkward rotation up towards mid, is not going to find the picks he was looking for, and Volk is fighting back as well.
Welcome to my world.
Viper's Pit is going to be brought out by Boise State, trying to make that spike harder and harder to defuse. They're going to try to use the snake bite in the post plant. Merc is rotating up so far. Boise State has to take them on and is able to take him out. They also bring out the Hunter's Fury for the post plant. They're able to take out one. It's down to just one-on-one. And this guy's going to try to get the angle, but Boise State with another key flick is able to keep getting the victory.
Yeah, every ult Boise State has used has gotten them value. The res bringing Jay back helped distract so they could pick up the elimination. They had the Viper's Pit, which forced Irvine Valley to get aggressive when they weren't in a position to have the advantage doing so. Then Hunter's Fury, when they're all lined up and even ping them and get the elimination onto Volk. Boise State clawing back right now. We started this at them having 3 wins, and now they are up to 7. They are doing very well here. Irvine Valley, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring out a timeout here because the momentum is all in Boise State's favor as long as they keep going B. A has been Irvine Valley's site. Every time Boise State goes there, they've lost it. Every time they've gone B, they've won it.
Irvine Valley, you see the tag team, Bola and Volk trying to take an angle out through Garage. Boise State is going to be pretty wise to that strategy and force out the teleport for the chamber, which in and of itself is a victory. Forcing that teleport back onto that long cooldown, going to take a lot of play options away from Irvine Valley for the time being. Dimeout thinking like he looked like he was going to throw out the owl drone, but maybe not right now. Okay, yeah, he does indeed go for it. Boise State is kind of sending mixed messages out with the Viper Wall on A and the owl drone on B. Irvine Valley, it looks like Boise State might be outplaying Irvine Valley as they rotated more towards A, whereas Boise State is now going to charge through as a unit on B. Can they take out Bola? They're able to blind him. Bola sets up the teleporter. Nightfall brought out onto B. That means Irvine Valley knows Boise State is going to be planting here. Skies is looking for these sight lines. Can he get one? They throw up the save wall. It's mowed down pretty darn quickly, but is it enough for Boise State to plant? It is not, as their spike planter is brought down. Now Boise State has to pick up this spike and maybe win a one-on-one here. They're going to try to peek around the angle. He goes for the spike planter, risky position, but brings it up to take out the save. Boise State now is 2v2. They might be coming with this on eliminations instead. Now a 2v1. Get the spike down. Now they can play the post-plant game. They know where the sidelines are going to be, where Irvine Valley has to push up forward. They're going to put up
ring around
a bit
the
of Vipers
Rosie.
here too. Yeah, ring around the Rosie. They're going to try to rotate around, and they all roll down. Boise State gets it 8-11.
There was definitely a little bit of panic trying to get the spike down, where to place it, but he timed it so well, able to hear the footsteps just at the right time, taking down Danny, goes for the rotation, gets the plane, has the confidence in Skies that he'll win the gunfight against Volk, and does. Boise State really clutching up here in these final rounds. If they continue this momentum, we could see overtime.
Yeah, Boise State has won 5 rounds in a row.
Trying to catch up to Irvine, who I believe got up to 7.
Now, this is going to be very crucial. Irvine Valley has set up for a full purchase. Boise State could force them onto a He takes Boise State by surprise, but Skies is able to stop the bleeding. That's very crucial for Boise State, just keeping with it in one person. They still have an opportunity. Volk is going to try to jump peek around on A, but he doesn't bait out a shot from Boise State, so he doesn't get the sideline, and they're thinking. Bola's definitely in the line with the way they're trying to get those upper sidelines. And now it's just some more traditional sidelines that Boise State has to worry. Here comes Bull.
The plant.
They are able to get the plant.
Planted.
And the res, that's going to make it tough. But they Boise State Skies
quickly.
Clutch. Taking out Tadashi. They're going to stop, but they still get pinged by the dart, and that's going to force Bola to teleport out.
Ooh, but the defuse, they might have backed off too far.
Boise State, no, they're going for the post plant here. They're using those shock darts to try to make him so toxic to defuse. The problem is that Irvine Valley has already half stuck it. Which means it should be pretty easy. But look at Dimeout putting on a clinic, and he's still at full health. He sees the Sage, the hair popping up. The between. Bola's trying to bait him out with the defuse as well. It's difficult, but Daimau's finding a way to hold in there. He got the collateral. He gets the quad. Boise State wins. No, they don't.
Match point.
Oh, I was so
lost that by
excited on the
an
quad,
inch.
but it's the objective that counts. I saw the kill feed. I assume that Boise State won, and then Irvine Valley actually gets
defender win.
Oh, that is the ultimate salt in the wound. I can't believe the split second actually worked out for Irvine Valley.
I mean, in that sense, props to Irvine Valley for at least human shield
play?
the
Let's play.
diffuser in that sense.
They recognize that, hey, if we get to 12, we're in a lot of control of the situation. So let's just do whatever we can to make sure that we get that win.
Yeah, so now Boise State going to bring up the ults, and already J-Back goes down to Bullet with a Spectre, no less. But the Tour de Force is there to at least answer it on to Soda. So they're going to go for another A push that Boise State has just had no luck in, as J-Back goes down again after the res coming in. So it is 4-4 as Dynamo is able to finally pick up Volk, who is a very key player in the last round, picking up 2 for his team, but now Murky's going to take down Alden. That's no more healing for Boise State. They're going to have to play a little bit further back, but they do have the Hunter's Fury that I think they'll be planning on utilizing here with how far they are playing.
Yeah, all you got to do is wait for that sound cue, and then rip in. The ice is going to head out this guys. That makes it very. His plan of blanking with the shorty is going to be negated. 5% goes down. State gets him in the back. Now brings up the shorty. Is waiting for that audience yet again. The Vandal gets caught in the reload for the shorty, but Boise State should still be able to get this just based on the sideline alone. Daimau trading 1-for-1, and Boise State goes to 9-12.
Yeah, Irvine Valley did not have time for the defuse there, so getting the pick on to who the Viper of Boise State was value gain for Irvine Valley, but Boise State staying in this game, denying the match point here and continuing this fight that Irvine Valley can't afford.
Boise State is able to buy back up complete weapons, but they're going to have to settle for one small shield. Meanwhile, Irvine Valley is saving.
Bola is 25-15.
That is absolutely, he has the real possibility here of bringing it within 30. They're gonna force out the teleport and immediately bring out the Owl Drone. Boise State looking like they're gonna waste no time in pushing onto A. Owl Drone doesn't spot anybody.
They've committed so much utility, they have to take it as fast as possible to at least have the positioning. Wall goes down for the plant as well as the Vipers. They still have Hunter's Fury as well, so they can play further back, but the Tour de Force coming out for Irvine Valley. They will maybe try to cancel out the Hunter's Fury if he can get line of sight, but Boise State playing that far back would have the advantage here.
I mean, talking about ults canceling ults, I love the Vipers. Bring that Tour de Force out of play. They just wait for Irvine Valley to fall down to the ground, and they pick them off like lemmings. It's just Bull just trying to turn things around. You still want to respect him. He has the Tour de Force, and he is the top fragger for Irvine Valley. So wait for that audio cue. Get up with the Molly.
Boise State continues the streak and still has the Hunter's Fury online. So
That
they
is
can
huge.
continue
That
to
is
push
huge.
A from so far away and have that denial that Irvine Valley falling apart here. This has just been an attacker-favored map, which is something you don't hear all that often.
Oh, I think its teams has gotten more and more used to the various stages. We've seen a lot more kind of attacker-favored situations. When a stage first comes out, though, it's kind of hard to choose where you want to go. But now, Boise State, if they win this, they bring it within 1 and could be going to overtime. Bola gets the initial pick he was looking for. Aldo has the res to cancel that out. Hunter's Fury brought out quite early, yeah. It doesn't even look like it gets one single dink onto Irvine Valley, so questions might be brought out there as to why that was
Definitely
used,
a bit preemptive, but it definitely pushed back Irvine Valley so that they could take space in A. I think it would be Smart of Boise State to try to go for the rotate to B, as only the Sage is there, with maintaining at least 1 or 2 people on A to apply that pressure and keep the split attention of Irvine Valley. They do have the Nightfall to push back Boise State, which they should definitely be aware of here. Doxkeys of Caldo's abilities to Caldo picking up onto Soda. This evens the odds here as the Nightfall comes out.
Oh, Viper's Pit makes it difficult to plan, but he's still able to take out Volva. The problem is Murky and Volk are enough of a problem that Boise State is down to 2.
This is where I think the issue of committing that Hunter's Fury way too early on has hurt Boise State.
Yeah, you can't necessarily look back right now. You gotta focus on the action at hand because it is do or die for the Broncos. I don't think they're gonna be aware. Still being the nail in the coffin for Boise State, but what a rally they gave. I would be very interested to see how Boise State works out as they move on to Haven. I have to wonder what team chose what stage. We'll see how comfortable Boise State is on Haven.
Well, after some amazing plays like that, Boise State is always looking for talented players, production, and broadcast talent. Top talent, along with good grades and eligibility, can earn scholarships as well. Make sure to sign up today by visiting boisestate.edu/esports for more information, as Boise State is trying to bring it back, and they got as close as we've ever seen. I mean, they were down over 10 rounds at some point.
11-3.
It was brutal, but they brought it back to 10-12. A huge accomplishment that I think they should be very proud of. The only issue we saw was it took a bit for them to get positioning correctly and maybe stacked out of who swings for those double peaks, but that ultimate usage definitely clutched them up there. So, I mean, it's hard to say speechless because I definitely have words, but I just don't know what to say because Boise State brought it back and surprised us all.
Well, maybe we should take a break so you can think of a few more words
there
to
you go.
say.
He's got all the knowledge. So we will go ahead and throw it to a quick break. So make sure to join and come back to us as we head to map number 2 of Haven. Enjoy these messages.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Protecting your customer journey from fraud is critical. According to industry analysts, Count's AI-driven platform is the leading solution. From account login to digital payments, Count is recognized for both its customer impact and technology excellence. Learn more at count.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena. We are continuing our coverage tonight of the NACE Valorant Fall 2022 preseason. And right now Boise State is looking to pick up their first map win against Irvine Valley after taking such a close nail-biting loss on Icebox. I am your host, Brenner Bearlad, and joined with me to call all of the action is Jacob Jem Palmer. We are headed to Haven, the map Boise State picked themselves. Hopefully we can see them take an earlier lead here because Icebox was such a nail-biter that they came as close as they could to bringing it back in the end, but they weren't able to close it out.
I would say I'm cautiously optimistic because if indeed Icebox was the pick of Irvine Valley, then they should played it like they played it like it was their pick. But Bola seemed like he was just the person who has been in practice mode for so long trying to pick up every single individual sideline that you can get, and Boise State was constantly walking into engagements that they weren't prepared for. But in the second half, once they got used to kind of Irvine Valley's play style, they were able to get it very close. So if they're on a map now that they're more comfortable with, Boise State, I think there's a good chance we could tie this back up.
Yeah, and Boise State, as we go ahead and take a look of the lineup of Reyna, Dino, Aldum, JBag, and Skies, which are brought to us today by Count, whose Count Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for over 9,000 leading brands. So make sure to check them out. But this lead-up is brought to you by Count, and of course, our beautiful player portraits, recently redone as well, might like to add. So Boise State trying to close things out as we get ready to head into Haven right now. This is a map that is easily Boise State's most played, to say the least. It was the previous teams, and you know both JBag and Skies are bringing that prior knowledge to this new team to try to revamp it. But last time we saw them play on Haven, we saw the Neon come out. And Neon was that interesting agent that you play around or honestly, you fail around because she is such a leader of the pack, but she doesn't have the utility of the chamber to instantly TP out of it. So if they decide to bring that out, I'm curious if Irvine Valley will match that as well, because her wall can also lead to a lot of interesting engages on this map.
I don't know if that's necessarily Irvine Valley's playstyle, though. Like, Irvine Valley's playstyle is really like try to catch Boise State by surprise, get these off angles. If that's the case, if that's what Irvine Valley kind of likes to do and bide their time and wait for the Broncos to kind of misplay, then we might have a chance, even though we don't see him. I wish he was more powerful, but I always like seeing Cypher brought out. If you have a good Cypher, the other team, they just don't know where to go. They are constantly second-guessing themselves if you've got a good Cypher who can take them by surprise. So that could be an option that Irvine Valley decides to bring out.
Yeah, it would definitely help slow down Boise State if they brought out that Neon and would definitely bring out the 1v1s, because no one else can really keep up with the Neon. Maybe a Jet if you're committing all of her dashes, but if you're a Jet player, you hate committing those dashes unless you're dashing into one of your own smokes. So as we jump into it and look at the draft, it's going to be the double rise and the double fade and make that a triple with the chamber and the breaches. Wow, it's a full mirror match.
Yeah, this is more of an opportunity for kind of, there's a lot more closed-in sections here on Haven that allows more abilities like the Raze with her Boombot and Kate Shells to just clear out more tight spaces, and especially as we go forward on to Bind. I mean, you're talking about a place that Raze can go ham on. I would think that we're probably going to be seeing that agent for the rest of the time tonight, and I'm all for it because Raze one of my favorite characters to watch.
Yeah, Showstopper can just be such a big playmaker with those satchel charges as well, dashing slash bombing yourself right into point to try to get those cheeky picks with the Showstopper can be a huge playmaker, but we have to get there first as the double reach early utility coming out here trying to scout out whoever you can. Sky's playing very aggressively, which surprisingly has become just the chamber meta of try to get an early cheeky pick with the Headhunter and then TP right out as soon as you can. It seems Bola has the exact same plan here as they will scout each other, but Bola wins that gunfight.
Familiar problem for Boise State. They just aren't able to win that initial 1v1 on the chamber. We'll see if they can make up some space. Bot's going to be thrown out to try to clear garage. Charge. Boise State has them. They were waiting for that one. Throws out the paint shells again. J-Bag picks up the third for Boise State. But the paint shells don't get any sort of damage, so it's just up to the Omen and Breach. But the spike, crucially, is down, so Boise State knows exactly where it is.
And will finally be picked up, but with the utility coming out from J-Bag on this Breach, Boise State's going to play a little bit further back as time is not on Irvine Valley's side. Just passing the 40-second mark, but Boise State has a nice flank coming up here through their spawn right now. A little bit of damage being exchanged, but Nina is going to come out victorious against Murky with a nice headshot, leaving only the Breach, who's getting collapsed on here and able to take down all the release, which clears up a path for him. Even deny the rotation here.
Problem is with this Breach is I don't think he has enough time. I mean, he's got to get through.
Spike?
Yeah, he doesn't have the spike. He's just going to fire through, and it's not going to be enough. So Boise State, being smart, recognizing their win condition, just going to hang out outside garage and wait for the inevitable thing that has to happen, which is the attempt at trying to pick up the spike.
Yep. Fire as many bullets as you wanted through the smoke. There were two members there, so they could absorb them and output your bullets there and win that fight. English is hard. And so, going into this next round, Boise State is able to get that semi-bye with multiple Spectres across the board coming out here. Whereas on the side of Irvine Valley, not looking too great. It's kind of just a pseudo-bye for both squads, it seems. Early paint chips as well coming down through that A corner. Sky's still the only one holding it. Lost last time trying to peek it against Bola. Will not repeat that same fate this time. Nice smoke there. And with the brand new Stinger, Skies is going to win out that engagement against Soda.
Breach is really kind of coming into his own with the meta, the ability to take all of these cheeky plays through walls. Boise State was definitely communicating on that one, played it perfectly. Marina is going to get a pick with the Bulldog. Skies is going to be forced off of his high ground in heaven. Boise State should have a fairly good... the problem is, I mean, they're technically at 5, but 2 of their members are very low on health, so they got to play this carefully. Danny just waiting with the stuns from Breach. His classic play. Blind him again and again and again, but Boise State, through blindness or whatever, is going to be able to take out Irvine Valley and get the second round.
Yeah, they had a really nice double drop from heaven to deny the one player of Irvine Valley who was in hell. So he could not focus down a single target as 2 were right in front of him, and whereas Boise State could just focus him down. A really nice collapse and great communication coming in from Boise State in this round 2, which now will help them with their economy, trying to finally secure a lead here, which Irvine Valley will be forced to buy.
Boise State isn't going to buy, however. They want to go for the bonus.
A bit of a pseudo buy here. We do see the one Vandal and a couple of half shields for the members that were eliminated. But solid save here, which means if Irvine Valley loses here, and loses very hard, I might add, they will be in one of the worst spots you can.
Skies is just waiting for the rotation out from Murky. Murky knows the angle and takes out Skies before he can do any real damage. Breach is waiting on this Q-kill. We have the blind that he gets 2. He's unable to take out J-Bay.
Danny with a nice pre-fire through this one is able to pick up Dynamo. Now Boise State in a 2v5 situation, and the the ult has already been charged this early on. Aldem at least able to pick up Murky in the rotation out of A towards spawn, so they know there's at least the Rise in Heaven area. So you're definitely going to hold hell as closely as they can.
Oldham is able to take Heaven. Might be looking for 1 or 2 exit frags. I don't think Boise State is necessarily playing here for the round. They're more just going to make sure they can be in the best econ position they can. And in fact, they're going to be saving, waiting for their 1 exit frag. Finds it.
I think that's the best thing Boise State could at least ask for is get one on the rotation out, deny as much econ as you can.
And that's not one to feel too bad. I mean, you're already going into the round with a bonus mentality. The other team has their full purchases. Now is going to be the real time to judge if Boise State has the real momentum on Haven.
I mean, if you're going to afford to lose an early round like that, in a 1v4 situation, taking out one more and not getting eliminated yourself is the best scenario to come out of that, outside of, you know, eliminating the entire enemy team. But we all know that was not going to happen with the rotations out of the site, so Boise State took what they could get.
Interesting. Rarina being a bit stingy here, still staying on this Bulldog.
I mean, it's worked out for him so far. So maybe they're just at home with this comfy gun as winner of the Fade duel goes to the side of Dynamo. Much slower push we've seen from Irvine here.
Up on the ground, and that Bulldog is not going to pay off in that situation. And look, he was able to get a few shots on him. That chamber is actually very low on health, but overall the gun difference working out for Irvine Valley.
Yeah, with no Sky or Sage, it's going to have to maintain that low health, and they have yet to apply any pressure on site, already losing 2 members, whereas Boise State has only lost the 1. They do have the showstopper, but I think that would be a bit cheeky to commit in a round 4, especially when you're only going up against the Breach ult here. If Irvine wanted to commit the Breach ult, I could see it happening, but with how aggressive they're pushing and Boise State not having any presence on it except for in Heaven, I don't expect to see the ults come out in this round.
Especially since J-Bag is already taking care of
Showstopper though.
Actually, Showstopper is brought out. It's going to fire that right under Heaven. Boise State is able to take the 3-on-1 and win that.
Skies with
kind of unorthodox though, and I have to question whether that Showstopper was really worth it. I mean, I guess they're using it up.
Some questionable solo ults. We saw Dynamo on the previous map with the Hunter's Fury kind of too early with it, and now with Oldham on the Showstopper, I think they definitely could have utilized it here, but now the tour de force is coming out from Irvine, which I definitely think is a smart play here, being kind of forced to buy at least Sheriffs at this point. So definitely going to be saving for next round. That Boise State kind of needs to win here, or at least J-Bag does, because he is hurting for cash.
You want to play? Let's play.
Tour de force from Irvine Valley.
You know it's out. Hope to see Boise State at least play the close angles here and not try to swing wide for any of these angles, especially here. You know Skies has the bad memory of losing to Bulla with the Headhunter. Now with the Tour de Force out, that is something you don't push whatsoever. So it's going to come down to defenders got to defend and not get cheeky and try to swing these angles, which is an issue we've seen in so many prior matches.
Irvine Valley still going for the rinse and repeat on A, but slow playing it a bit more. Meanwhile, we see that might be brought on to see that as the huge play. Tour de force out of the equation. Boise State can play a lot easier. This Omen looked like he was just taking a little bit of a peek down C, but Boise State's own chamber was waiting for him. It looks like more it's going to be a mid-push over to B.
Yeah, Irvine with that ult orb was able to get the Nightfall fully charged, so they could utilize it here in B, but with it being that middle point, being able to come from 3 separate angles, I'd be surprised if they commit it here. Flash comes out from the breach and will get taken down by all of them. Down 2 members, a nice flank coming out here, but was unsuccessful as J-Bag picks up 3 for himself, and just like that, Boise State only loses a single member.
That's especially good considering that J-Bag was just down to 200 credits, so probably someone would have had to buy for him this round if Boise State hadn't won. And this is just great classic play here. You see the smokes placed perfectly. Boise State using the util to their full advantage. Just waiting for the push in from Irvine Valley and catching them from all angles.
Yeah, Irvine playing so far out of sight was just being pushed through that big double door choke that Boise State could just have their crosshairs on and be able to push easily. Now with an aggressive defense coming out from C Long here. And Skies is able to win the duel against Bola, but Danny will be able to take down Aldum in that C Long, not able to rotate out fast enough.
Looks like he thought he could get out there with the satchels and leaned on them a bit too heavy. Yep. Wasn't able to bring back out the gun in time.
1-for-1 though so far. 44 Boise State up 4-1 right now. Looking good, has decent momentum on their side winning the prior match, but they're could see the possibility of the double breach ult, but I think they both down one member and did make it down two with Skies with a nice link. They're able to take down Soda. A little bit caught on the retreat here by Bulk.
Both Omens are going to blind each other and go toward a destined 1-to-1 on
Rated player standing.
Oh, 1 for 2 in favor of Irvine, but Dynamo with a nice flank here. Rotates soon enough, might see the sight line here. Not watching behind him.
Oh my goodness.
But still gets the pick. Now he just has to find out where this last breach is and doesn't check the close corner. Rather goes for the far, and in that 50-50, it's the best you could ask for there as Irvine picks up their second win.
Boise State overall momentum, I think they should still be able to get full purchases for this next round. Both teams really being a lot more even on Haven. Very good effort. I don't quite know what was happening with that fade. Might have just been getting caught up in some util woes. Can't know for sure. Now Boise State. They're going to go again with this very aggressive peek onto C, although it looks like they're going to use Cubby now. Yeah, just using to claim that.
Yep.
That's much more of a safe situation, I think.
Yeah, definitely getting shot in the back last time. Definitely hurt Boise State being down a member so early on, even bringing up the tour de force here to hold down this A-long as well. But Bola pushed up to B so quickly that there's no one from Boise State there to defend against. And so now, if Bola had the spike, he would have planted out already. Boise State would have already been on the back foot. And a Murky here denies all of the swings coming up from Boise State and C Long.
Aldum just really hasn't had much luck on C, trying to outplay Irvine Valley. It's not going to be too much of a penalty, though. This guy's going to hold things down with the tour de force. Irvine Valley has moved on to B. He's trying to get the sideline. Murky is down low on health, too. This Rolling Thunder is thrown out. Murky is going to teleport out. And Bola with the double.
They went for the defuse without fully clearing sight, and Bola on this chamber with the Vandal is going to finish off Skies for their third victory. Valley's closing the gap right now, and once again, Aldum just swung a bit too soon. The gun was peeked out. Boise State had a nice rotation, but they did not clear sight before going for the defuse, and that cost them the round.
Irvine Valley is nearly equalized. Boise State again, are they gonna go for C? It seems they're determined to try to make this work.
They have both the Darkness and the Nightfall on their side, but they're gonna have to watch out for the Rolling Thunder and Irvine's own Nightfall, so I expect to see at least 2 ults here, 1 from each team. I hope at least, especially with Boise State not having gun advantage.
Face your
they want to use
fear!
all the utility we can. There comes the Nightfall pretty early on. And the Rolling Thunder back to back as Aldum with the paint chips takes down Soda. All that utility and Irvine loses a member.
Yeah, that's a huge change over toward Boise State, forcing all of those ultimates to be expelled. Irvine Valley now in an awkward position. They're still trying to consider whether they want to push onto C or rotate over to Garage. The problem is Boise State has already 2 people set up in Garage. And this chamber, Skies just waiting. He's had so much success with the sideline towards spawn. He knows that Danny's there, but Danny wins the gunfight. Still hard to win with that frenzy.
Yeah, especially going up against the Vandal who wins in the long range. Boise State still has the numbers advantage at that +1. Irvine
30 seconds
looks like
left.
going for the big rotation all the way over to A, with only the Omen of Boise State able to answer it, or at least try to cover against it, but Jaimo pushing up through mid is able to take down Bolo. That's a huge key player, and Reina even able to scout out from heaven of that breach. Still doesn't know where the fate is. Now they do, as they take down Daimo. Boise State's gonna have to try to collapse here with spike timer not in their favor. Ooh, nice satchel trying to force him out of the corner, but with that swing, Danny's on a triple.
Wow. Overall, I think it's just Boise State. You know, for an eco round, that's not too bad. I mean, they were able to burn off basically all the ultimates from Irvine Valley. I think the showstopper has just come online for the Rays, but overall, if you think of what Irvine Valley had to spend versus Boise State, who was just buying cheap weapons, biding their time, I think Boise State is favored in this next match.
Yeah, 3-1 in the ultimate economy, but rounds finally have evened out. The first time we've ever seen it in the matchup between these two teams. So it looks like finally Irvine's going to go for a more aggressive B push this time, especially with how much space Bola took in the prior round. You know, Boise State doesn't cover it nearly as much as they should. Boise State recognizes and is quick with the rotations to answer. Showstopper even finds out.
Kind of a blind shot through mid.
Doesn't land. Boise State with the rotations is able to answer and take out 3 members of Irvine. They have control of sight just like that. And now with the full wipe, that's going to be a flawless.
I told you, Boise State had it in the bag.
Flawless. They brought it right back. And once again, Irvine Valley, a bit of the ult misuse. They committed the showstopper so early without having any knowledge on where Boise State might have been. Just threw it out in the smoke. So you see here just collapsed upon.
Boise State still maintaining a narrow lead, but it has felt like a world of difference between Icebox and Haven. Boise State also looks like they might be dumping the aggressive push on C to actually take a peek around on A. We'll see how this works out.
You want to play?
Let's shells
play.
out into the lobby. They're just going to go for just a bit of chip damage. The Omen is pushed too far up for that to go through there. Oh, that was so good for the Omen. I mean, considering that he was blinded by the breach. But it's still a 2-1 trade, and Skies is basically shutting down C completely with this op.
Yeah, and forcing Bolo with the tour de force to go down mid is definitely not ideal for Irvine right now. Oh, as they just do not have pressure to try to match Boise State, but with a pick like that onto J-Bag, that should allow them to take control of sight and maybe go for the fight. But no, they're going to the rotation over to A, so all of them's able to take down Soda. At least 1 for 1. Still has the tour de force online, but at the same time, Boise State has Skies with that op.
Oh, look at
it was a great flank.
They read that beautifully. Props to Irvine Valley. They heard the Odin. Not the Odin, I'm sorry. They heard the Omen.
I wish there was an Odin.
I wish we could see an Omen with the Odin, but they heard the Omen voice cue.
Bola gets it with the tour de force, so a pretty solid win for Irvine with the tour de force. Didn't lose it early on, which I think playing a bit safer, especially with Bola having it of all players on the team. Played it very nicely. And Boise State, you had the right play with that flank on the Omen. You had the idea, Reina, but was unable to close it out. And Reina's all the way down to 0 money. He spent it all on this round. So Boise State needs a win here. But
Daimo's not even going for the shields. He's just going to go straight for the gun. So got to make sure those first initial headshots are working out.
Both Rolling Thunders online. Big sprays coming out through C-Long, and Aldum, shields are already gone. He's down to 70.
Go get him.
But that's not enough to say that Fade did not take the worst of that exchange, being below half HP, who I believe also bought full shield. So that exchange does go in the favor of Boise State. Surprised we haven't seen either Rolling Thunder come out to go for a more aggressive push onto site. It looks like they want to go for B once again. But Skies this time going to have to hold a lot closer, not having that operator.
Looking like he wants to give Irvine Valley a taste of their own medicine from what they brought out in Icebox. But Irvine Valley just sticking together as a group and going up through courtyard toward B. The problem is they haven't had a lot of success going on to B. Boise State loves to just pinch them in from the sides. Rolling Thunder brought out by Boise State to delay the push on to B.
Yeah, 30 seconds remaining.
30 seconds left.
There you go. Bit ahead. But they rotated all the way over to A, and Boise has an answer there. Little does he know, right on the other side of the smoke.
Spike planted.
Prowler heading out.
Oh,
Is gonna, tries to make lemonade out of it.
Nightfall coming out for Irvine, though. Might secure a J-Bag coming in with a double.
The spray works out!
Off your feet!
And now they should be able to get the defuse, but the Rolling Thunder coming out from Irvine now. But he doesn't check the corners, and Scott doesn't even fire bullets next to each other.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, no, not like this. Not like this. You gotta still win this, Broncos. He's able to half stick it, but he's got to he wins in the end. Oh my goodness.
That Omen smoke on top of the spike saved J-Bag's life. You have to be thanking Reyna on that Omen for that smoke.
I mean, that's not the only one you have to thank here.
Oh, for sure.
Look,
but
you're spraying with the Vandal below heaven, and it still works out.
I mean,
that is the definition of a spray and pray working out for you.
Boise State clutching that out right there. Finally is able to take the lead in 6-5, and this being the last round before the swap, they want to throw everything they can, and they're gonna have to watch out for the Omen Darkness coming out. Because it's use it or lose it. See the bomb mid. They know at least rises there. Boise State has the flank set up. Only J-Bag on A long there. It seems that Irvine Valley wants to go for a C push here. Something we have not seen them done tonight. Able to see the Jiggle Peak coming out here as
I'm too far.
uses his utility. Zach double central charges to try to make as much moves as possible, but the judge! Dymo! Thank you, my friend, for that judge play.
Out of charges.
There's the Darkness as the sole survivor.
Yep, you sometimes see it used that way just to grab the spike in a situation where otherwise would have been impossible. But Boise State has now called out the location. They got to play this as a 3-on-1. I don't think Murky's going to be pressed a bit for time as he has to rotate through. Can Boise State get toward A before he's able to plant? They're playing a bit tenaciously. He's actually going to rotate up to heaven. Okay.
He's going for a flank. I think he's going for eliminations rather than spike play, unless he's trying to go for a super cheeky all the way around back to C push. He doesn't have time for that, though. Oh, so instead, Olive's just going to check the flank and get the elimination. All right, Boise State.
All right, Redden and half 7-5. Not a done deal, but Boise State. The advantage was for them on Icebox, so maybe they're a team that just likes to attack a little bit more today. We'll just have to see how that works out.
Yeah, Haven usually a 50-50 map with how many sites there are. It's always just mind games on top of mind games that have been in their favor. You can definitely see why they picked this map after all of the bans came through. So, but Irvine's keeping them on their toes. I mean, it's 7-5. The ult usage has definitely been in Boise State's favor, I would say. Irvine has had some questionable ults, to say the least. I think if they had used the Darkness in the prior round or even earlier on when they went for the full commit to C, they'd be looking at a better situation here.
Skies is going to play a bit of chicken between chambers as we have this Vaughn site down on C. Has already set up their teleport. He's going to try to double peek, actually, with some help from teammates.
They have the smoke set up.
Smoke is just used to push out. Prowler going to try to clear out C.
Might have seen the breach. I don't think they got around the corner in time. J-Mac pushing very aggressively. Gets all the way to the corner where he wants, but Murky with a nice double on that classic. Pushing quickly, and Sky's picking up a double of his own.
A great start for Boise State. There's just 2 players left in Garage, and Boise State already has a spike down, is going to wait for the inevitable. Timeout down with just 4 health. Oh! And that's going to catch up. Now it's just 2-2.
Oh, nice!
Remaining.
With the health disadvantage.
Player standing.
And now it's just 1-to-1 again. J-Bag does not have the advantage in health,
And
but
gets
still
it.
gets 1. Quick shot.
This man's holding on to a thread of life. Not even that, like a molecule of it with 1 HP remaining. He had such an amazing flash as well and only secured the 1 elimination out of it, but had the better foot game.
He took the damage from the paint shells and managed to
It paid
survive
off.
with 1.
I respect the gall of this player right now. Props to you, J-Bag, for clutching out that round. Bringing Boise State to 8-5. The C push working out in their favor. This time, with such an early elimination of Danny, with the Vandal, no less. This early on round 2 of the swap. Hold up. All right.
A plant very early goes down for Boise State. Now Irvine Valley is going to try on the retake. He tries the flank, but is quickly denied thanks to that. Problem is, the tour de force is going to slow down Arena. It does wear off, however, and Arena now goes in for the flank through Garage. We'll see how that works out. It works out pretty well, I'd say, as Bola is eliminated. Now 2 people in the same position they were last round.
One enemy remaining.
Taken out by a shorty, but in the end, it's still 4-1 again. Are you going to take that? Don't let him disrespect you like that. Yeah,
At least
win
pick
it
up the
3-1.
Pick up the shorty, please. Anybody? Shorty? No?
I don't know. That 150 credits is really gonna. Well, it can make a difference sometimes.
I mean, it made a difference for them. They got 2 eliminations from it. So Irvine trying to take at least the little bit of advantage where they can, but Boise State proving why Haven has just been their map. So now Irvine Valley having to fall by, and only Danny not able to afford the full shields here. Might hurt him in the long run, but Boise State's in the same position that only 2 members were able to get full shields, so they went kind of a pseudo buy of whoever survived was able to just get the shields, and whoever wasn't, have fun with sheriffs.
And the interesting thing is, because Boise State was so aggressive in their purchases on round 2, for the bonus round, they're not going to face as much of a gun disadvantage as they normally would. The teammate upper guessed one of the 2 angles, and it didn't work out. Boise State now with just 2 left.
Yeah, committing 2 members to that close A and 1 down mid, unable to win any of those engagements, only able to get the single elimination. At least it was on to the Rise, who had the showstopper, so they denied that future utility, which I don't think Irvine would have even committed because 3 members of Boise State were already down. Able to at least pick up the guns of their fallen brethren, but continuing on this A push. And checking corners. I think that is lesson learned from the shorties. But pushing a bit too far into the silent and not checking it will cost J-Backs.
Now this is a very odd proposition and doesn't have enough time to plant, so this has to try to go. And it doesn't work out there. So 9-6, still a healthy lead for Boise State, so they can still recover here.
Yeah, they were more worried about hell rather than that sideline from spawn, and it cost them there, so I think they'll definitely be checking that next go-round. But now Boise State here coming in with the full buy. Sky's bringing out the operator with half armor, though. But with how far back he's been playing, I think he will be okay. Hold him up to 19-10. I expect this round he breaks 20.
Hey, probably go out to C. They just go for a bit. They're just going to take down the doors of Garage immediately and put Irvine Valley on notice.
Nightfall was charged from that ult orb in A, though.
Gets the pick onto Skies, especially with that hefty op purchase. That could spell problems for Boise State. Yeah. They're going to have to win this round first before they think about picking back that op back up. Sadachi's still hiding behind the doors in Garage.
Yeah, with the ult economy such in Irvine's favor and Boise State not being able to get a single opening, now losing Dynamo as well. Things are not looking good for Boise State, but if it comes down to simple gunplay, they can close this gap very quickly, but with not even an ultimate to try to even the odds is hurting them. But a nice swing on A means Aldum has site control. So I'll make sure J-Bag with Spike makes that rotation as quickly as possible. See, as soon as Boise State
look at the Omen, the ambush on B is smoked off. He's still trying to it's just
he was not ready for the crouch.
That was really frustrating to watch.
Bombot takes down a good chunk of health, and Bull is able to swing it and get the elimination. So it's almost a 1v4 situation, and Irvine takes that.
I wouldn't mind if we maybe see a timeout here from Boise, because aside from Aldo, still doing fine. I mean, it's just it's a bit of some unfortunate crosshair placement there.
Yeah, you can only react to the crouch as quick as you can, and Irvine just got the best of him.
Boise State has at least one save round. Has a save round they got to get through.
Big stingers coming out here. They're really favoring the new changes on the gun. It seems the recoil has just been in the favor of Boise State, having practiced with it for the whole day that the patch has been out. So going just all out with the stingers and a single sheriff with the max shield. So at least think he should be leading the pack having the max shield, but with Irvine having a full buy here, they're gonna have to be playing pretty close. Pretty aggressive push coming out from Soda as well.
Boise State is moving
Blue
at
checker
and gets the corner successfully.
Yes.
Still manages to pick up two. So that means that's going to be 2 whole guns that they can pick up.
And it's the 2 with the ult. That's what matters here for Boise State. They denied huge utility, and as you mentioned, got the gun found.
Last player standing.
Now with some fresh Vandals, Boise State is out for a vengeance. Looks like they're probably going to be bringing out a double digits, going to double digits, excuse me. Nothing left for Irvine Valley to do. In fact, it wouldn't be... I'm curious on what their Omen's holding. He's holding a Phantom, so...
He definitely wants to hold the longer angles.
Yeah, but it also wouldn't be... Well, no, technically you'd want a Vandal for holding the long angles. But, oh man, it's a tough decision. I don't think he pushes here. I think he's just going for maybe trying to pick up an exit frag, but going for the save.
Boise pushes that. Oh.
That was a great peek out there by Rarina. Boise State gets the thrifty and denies the little eco that Irvine Valley was trying to get for that round.
I mean, with going for that kind of further back, I don't want to say close hold, but so close to site to try to catch out stragglers, and then losing the gunfight, I think that's might be in future cases of, if you're in that situation, just leave as far as you can and just try to go for the save, because now Boise State is stacked with Vandals on top of Vandals, but Irvine had to go for a full buy, now has Operator and full shield, whereas a single member of Boise State was unable to get the full shield.
Immediately,
Spike down mid.
1 shot, 1 kill. J-Bag is taken out, and that means Boise State's going to have a tougher job of
no rolling thunder.
Pushing through, yeah. They put a caution onto B because they know that's where the op is, and they're not going to be about that at all. They're going to be rotating over to A and trying to press their luck there.
Yeah, especially with how far Reyna has pushed up and just taken control of site. He's going to have to be wary of that side lane, because Irvine has very rarely pushed Heaven, that I think Boise State has finally acknowledged and stopped applying so much pressure to, as now they finally push Heaven, just to jinx me, because Caster's curse if I've ever seen it, but they will get plant onto A. A has definitely been a more comfortable site for both of these teams.
Throws out the paint shells into Heaven. Boise State just goes for the plant and immediately goes to post plant. Irvine Valley using out a rolling thunder. Things out Nightfall in response from Boise State, as well as Human Teleport, but is not going to be able to find the flank he was looking for. Bolo eliminates him. Fighting in the smoke works out hugely in favor of Timeout. He picks up a double. Sky is also getting rid of Sadachi, and immediately things are just turned around for Boise State.
Huge props to Boise State for the ultimate commitment there to answer everything Irvine threw at them. They took recontrol of site so quickly, but Boise State was further back, had control of the sidelines, and just took command of those gunfights, which is exactly what we wanted to see from them. Dynamo picking up that nice double, and Skies following up with his own. Haven has been Boise State's map, and now they are 2 rounds away from the match game point win. From winning the map. How about that?
I'll go with that.
Words for things.
Boise State takes a peek out through C, throws out the Prowler to see where everyone is. Irvine Valley, in response, moves 3 people over to C.
Flash out.
Gonna throw out the flash and quickly abandon that idea.
Yep. They were able to win C in the early rounds, but once guns have been able to be even out, Irvine wins that engagement. So now, I wouldn't be surprised if Boise State maybe goes for a...
Might be a fake rotate. They're still keeping C in their minds.
It's all about the mind games. Always about the mind games of which site will they full commit to, but Irvine's definitely looking a little bit more comfortable here, having the 4 members just outside of site with only 2 on. Bola's really the only one outside of it.
Oh, they're
and
going
with
for the full angle, then the close, and
Murky
Oldham is
wasn't
able
ready.
to dislodge Murky. Now Boise State moving on to the point. Danny and Boulder just going to do
Player
damage
standing.
for Boise State
down,
with the
C.
wall bang. And quickly falling apart for Boise State. They're not going to be given an easy victory here.
Yeah, that concussion really hurt Boise State. Having to use this, as we saw from Eldon's perspective, using the South charge to get behind cover was very smart, but then he went for the push on the rotate and got collapsed on by the Fade, who then was able to swing around and go through the crate.
That animation. Oh, he actually, he brought out the old Fushigi from his childhood. Remember those commercials? Nah, I'm going to be left high and dry. If anyone remembers that, they made it look a lot easier than it actually was. But now, Boise State is going to have to try to make this look easy as they push on towards C. And they managed to get onto point. It's actually pretty darn clear for them. It's going to give them enough time to plant. Question is, how do they deal with the retake from Irvine Valley? Danny is rotating down through garage, and we have 2 rotating up through courtyard. They're all going, look, they're all going into garage. That is a conga line of people if I've ever seen one, but they're going to move together as a unit. Boise State just waits for them to move on to the point. Dime out gets 1. Throws out more, gets everyone's position with the haunt.
Ooh. Unable to collapse on it. But Bola wins the long-range engagement, and Irvine's able to push up on it. Allen's able to pick one up more, but Bola with the triple, cutting it close on time, will be able to get it with very few seconds to spare. C has not been working out for Boise State, and that's the 2nd time in a row that they've lost it. I expect them to go B or A for this next push because C has just been such a hard loss. Yes, they get the plant down, but then they immediately back off site and are unable to hold it because the pressure and utility coming out from Irvine has just been overwhelming.
Boise State is certainly grouping up in center as if they want to go toward B.
Maybe
They might
they'll
still keep C in mind. They're just not probably going to go for the long pushes. And Alias Apple trying to catch Yoke off guard. That is so fast into the garage. Ooh. But Irvine Valley is able to react in time to take away that initial advantage that the Rays had. Going to be moving up. This Rays is still looking for the flanks and just sprays in the end and doesn't pick up any damage for it. All that work and not a lot to show for it.
I'm worried so many of Boise State's plays have been based around the Rolling Thunder coming out from JBag, who has been consistently the first one eliminated when they go for these pushes, which is why Boise State has immediately had to rotate over to A, which I think they will be 10 times more successful than they've ever been pushing C in these later rounds. Spike 40 goes down. Immediately take control of Hell and try to get those cross angles set up between Reyna and Daimel.
Should be able to play off the post-plant angles. Irvine Valley is waiting, rotating.
Aggressive
smoke it off. They gets the location revealed, however. And he's not able to win that gunfight. Thanks to Arena, it is still 2-2 within the round possibility, and all players have taken a bit of damage, so it could just be a crucial headshot. It's in that range for all the Phantoms that are brought out. We'll see how Arena can do. There's not a lot of time left. No, they're not able to delay it. And they still get the defuse.
So
my
close.
goodness.
Bola with just 10 out of 10 gunplay right now. Has just been able to clutch up for his team again and again and again. I think Boise State kind of needs to reorder their push right now because they need to utilize this Rolling Thunder from J-Bag, who has just been eliminated way too early on, all too often.
I think just beyond the utilizing the Rolling Thunder, I think we're just seeing a little bit of a breakdown from Boise State in terms of the 1v1s. We're seeing just not quite the crosshair placement that you need to win them. We're just seeing a little bit is off in terms of their aim, so just focusing on one round at a time. Those fundamentals, like Skies does right now, is going to ultimately get them the advantage and hopefully for Boise State push them toward the final round. They do not want it to be driven to 11-11. That is effective overtime for both teams.
There it is. Rolling Thunder right onto side to take control. Full. A ton of pressure applied to Heavy, but will trade out.
Face your fear!
Waits past all of that wall bang. Get in, Rarina. Yeah. He's going to be out of the picture for a little while now. Boise State has a lot of effort.
Nice TP out.
Trapped in sewers, and it's quickly turning around against the Broncos. They throws out the engine, gets caught right in it. Rarina tries a valiant play, but we're going to 11-11. This is basically overtime now.
Boise State had a 4-round lead at one point, and now they are tied.
Yep.
Where is the timeout? I've just been waiting to see it because
I don't know.
They constantly have, all right, let's keep J-Bag alive, go in with Rolling Thunder. They had a very good push, but they backed up a site so quickly that allowed Irvine to take the advantage. So now once they throw to you the utility to try to counteract the push coming out from Irvine, they're already on top of them.
Oh, Irvine.
They may not be our team, but I love seeing an Odin. It makes me so happy. I love it. It's definitely the unorthodox play, especially
that is not a that is not something you normally play at that long of a range.
I love the thought. I'm honored by the Odin's appearance, but you deserve to die. That would be
and you know who else is appreciating it? Boise State right now, because that allowed an easy pick for them. They're going to be moving up to C. Problem is that they've had problems on the retake with C. So as the spike goes down,
they could just go forward. I think they just have to hold C. I was going to say maybe try to rotate B through garage and then through main, but now Irvine just has control now with Nightfall and Showstopper coming out. 3 ultimates committed here, and still it's just 3-3. And Bolo wins with the Tour de Force, but Aldum's able to even things out.
One enemy remaining.
Just
1-2.
left.
He has Showstopper. He's going to bring up his Showstopper. There it is, but it misses. And without,
I don't know.
timing was not on his favor. If Boise State had an extra 10 seconds, I think they could have won that with Showstopper. 2 denied, just sheerly out of time, but
yeah, but that projectile
they can't keep going C.
Has such a long wind up.
We haven't seen Boise State push B once. They go A or C every time.
Now, to be fair, Irvine Valley didn't have a lot of luck whenever they pushed B, but it's always an option if you want to keep. But I think Boise State, you know, a lot of their plans have just been early on, and it's been on these retakes they've been struggling so much.
You want to play?
But they got
Let's
so
play.
much utility out of Irvine. I mean, in the prior round of 3 ultimates, and now they only have Darkness remaining of the Omen's ult. Boise State can answer with the Tour de Force. As much as I hate saying this, if they had gone C with the Tour de Force is a much better situation than going B or A. They can make it work on A, but he's going to be having to stay A main watching heaven.
Sadashi and Aldum looking like they're heading towards a 1-to-1. Unless Boise State can make it a 2-on-1, he has the backup from the chamber. They're actually going to be moving back, as they're actually able to bait a lot of members from Irvine Valley onto A that could clear up B or C should they choose to go for it. They're going for Garage again. They're determined to make C work. They're either going to make it work or die trying.
Yeah, they definitely have the setup to make it possible with the Tour de Force to try to hold it long. But I definitely think you want to try to watch those flanks in case the Rise goes for it. It looks like she's going to just rotate through Spawn. They get Spike down. This is the latest we've seen them plant on the site. It might be in their favor, but Reyna going for the slow walk behind crates will not pay off for them. They get eliminated. shot in the back, and Skies is able to pick up Danny, so we're at least even here.
And that's really good getting into the first
Oh,
in
nice.
the close confines of that
One enemy
garage.
remaining.
It puts them all in there to be picked off 1-1. We are going to overtime. And this could still go to a game 3. I can
Switching
hardly
sides.
stand it.
Overtime.
Skies got the quad he needed, even with Tour de Force. I believe he even used every single bullet he had in that gun, then even went over to the Headhunter to close it out. BSU is still in this fight, and we're going to overtime number 2. Shall keep tally of how many overtimes we're going to hit, because at this point, we're playing tennis and it's non-stop deuces.
That's a good spot.
Basically, that's how it works out. I mean, Oldham has been playing his heart out. Look at that, 26-17.
And only 2 players from Irvine have broken the 20s, so keeping it.
Sometimes it's just when you get the kills rather than how many you get.
Yeah, this ain't all about the KD. Even though some players definitely play that.
It's still at its heart an objective-based game with the Spikes.
Not everyone can be a Phoenix man.
No, not everyone can be Dallin.
Shots fired, shots fired.
All right, Irvine Valley's going to be the ones to attack. They're playing this rather trepidatiously, looking for that initial pick, and these chambers could be facing off against each other through the garage doors.
It's definitely
Who's
been
going to get the first
the
pick?
high ground.
Rice is able to fake him out enough to be able to draw the teleport away from Boise State.
I think it was a bit cheeky of an early TP out. I think he could have maintained it or at least fallen down.
But they're going to trademark Irvine Valley.
Don't go seek it, Boise, please. You barely got it last time.
They're going to try to prove you wrong. There's a lot of gunfire exchanged between Bola and J-Bang. They're trying to wallbang through to 2 different players right now. But I don't think they're reading that correctly. It's only Bola there, and they still haven't managed to take him out. Meanwhile, while they've been having this ego battle here in Garage, Irvine Valley has just snuck right under Boise State's noses and planted on A.
And this whole time, Skies has still
Omen
just been
battle.
see, and he gets it for the Chamber 1v1 with the Vandal. So now
what are these 2? Okay. I was thinking they were right next to each other. No, they're on completely different floors. That explains it. How will Boise State do on the retake using the satchel to get in? Looks up at the pond.
Eliminating Danny, unable to clear hell though, so 1 for 1. They at least know one's in hell. Goes for the drop, unable to get it. Murky on a triple right now. It's all down to Daimo, who is unable to secure it. Irvine's at the match point right now. Actually, it's game point right here, because if they win it,
match point.
Boise State's done for. Boise State needs to win these next 2 rounds if they want to have us head to a map 3 right now.
Well, with it being overtime, that means there's going to be enough credits for everyone to get their full purchases. Yep. A lot of opportunities if you get some initial flanks to be initial picks to be able to use your ult. Not too far away from them either. Danny looked like he was waiting to try to set something out for sewers, but instead abandoned that.
Rice having goes off to damage Aldum. Something that they definitely did not want happening, but all 5 members committed to A right now. None trying to hold the flank of even B main or just their spawn alone.
Well, at least they're taking your advice. They're not going C.
That's all that I want to see right now. Pun intended.
The paint shows on to Saddam. He clears it out completely for Boise State. That's going to be the plan. Goffy. Meanwhile, I'm a bit concerned about Bola here. He's taking an awfully long route around to maybe try to flank Boise State on A. But their fade, Dime out, is keeping an eye on it. Throws out the Prowler for the U-turn. Knows he's there. Throws out again the Haunt. Can he win this? Oh, he gets some chip damage onto Bola now. No, Bola is down to about half health. Reina's going to try to pick up the pieces and gets it.
1 enemy remaining.
Oh, but the rest of the team has been losing points, but all of them's going to close it out. We are headed to overtime. And the showstopper even came out from all of them. He was able to hold that. Boise State would have the advantage going into this next round.
I can't handle it. I can't handle it. Boise State is toying with my emotions way too much here.
We're in overtime number 3. Boise State needs to win here for us to head to a map number 3. So they are playing their hearts out. Just excuse the showstopper when the entire enemy team was dead.
That's time for Irvine Valley's next opportunity to push forward immediately. Just some paint shells are going to be thrown through garage, but there is no one there. In fact, Irvine Valley has left the spike over near their spawn. Waiting to get the first pick. They're going to force the teleport out onto...
Still loses the gunfight.
Now Boise State down 1, but they've gotten some chip damage onto Irvine Valley, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. They're going to have to take out Volk here, and that's immediately what Oldham does
down,
with the headshot.
spawn.
Boise State now down to 4-4, and they have the health advantage. Spike picked up by Irvine Valley. Will they decide to go B or C or rotate completely over toward A? Boise State is pushing up onto C with their Odin, and toward B with Baden J-Bag.
Even still knowing that Bola was in that A area, he can either go main or side route. That they didn't commit a single member to try to hold down A is definitely a riskier player on the side of Boise State, as the rest of the members of Irvine Valley are going to go for that A push, which is the smart call. They have control of side. Bola cleared it out all himself outside of maybe heaven at that point, and Boise State's going to have to go for a retake
30
here.
seconds left.
I think it favors Boise State because they have a lot more utility to commit rather than Irvine, especially with the TP of Bola still on cooldown, only for 20 seconds remaining. Boise State's going to have to make moves.
Now J-Bag does have all of his abilities, all of his util. So he does have the ability to kind of clear out some of these angles. This is what he's going to do, through the wall first. Now Boise State gets the signal to move in. Danny down to about half health. Oldham gets the pick on Ebola. They're going to use the satchel to get out further. Oh, the satchel's out of bounds. Oh my goodness.
Gets it! Huge trades across the board for both sides, but Dymo's going to be the final one with that ball, and Boise State is at match point here. And he is
Switching sides. Match point.
They really love using their ultimates at the last possible moment.
Well, if there's one thing that's been evading Boise State is with the successful C plants, it's been the satchel plays out of heaven onto A. I don't know how many times Oldham's tried that.
At least 3?
Yeah,
we've seen
and
two of them.
they've never really worked out. But, I mean, Oldham, he's not complaining at all. He's gone past 30 in the KDA.
We have also yet to see a successful showstopper. All of them have whiffed. We haven't seen a single elimination from them.
I think here and there, if my memory serves me correctly, maybe one. You know, and most they're able to get one pick, which sometimes is all you need. Oldham is going to try to use the samples to better effect as they go just through the smoke. Firing through smoke is going to pick up Volk. Now, Boise State, are they going to move through toward plant on B? They do.
Also, rotation help for the back.
Almost all the rotations are coming through A. Can Boise State pick that up?
Falling back so soon. I think they should have...
Nah, I think this is the play here. They gotta make sure that they keep the post-plant angles.
Wait and see, just wait to hear the DQ sound to apply all the pressure. Dymo was the last remaining one on site and gets swiftly eliminated. Now Irvine with what is it with the spray? He smokes this round. It's been paying off. It's 3-3, and with a nice headshot denies the play. Boise State needs to put up time here, and they'll get it. So we're headed to a map number 3 of Bind. It only took 4 overtimes.
Special shout out there on that post-plant holding. Was just waiting for only the audio cue. The crosshair placement was absolutely perfect. As soon as he put it, it didn't matter that there was a smoke there. He knew that he was going to hit that player. So now Boise State, we're moving on to Bind.
Skin of their teeth. They had a solid lead for most of the map, but once it got to overtime, well, once it got to their defending, they struggled as Irvine closed the gap and now went into overtime. Boise State was finally able to close it out, but now we're heading over to third map Bind. So we're going to go ahead and throw it to a quick break after all the adrenaline in this room. So make sure to grab some water and enjoy these messages.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Protecting your customer journey from fraud is critical. According to industry analysts, Count's AI-driven platform is the leading solution. From account login to digital payments, Count is recognized for both its customer impact and technology excellence. Learn more at count.com.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Protecting your customer journey from fraud is critical. According to industry analysts, Count's AI-driven platform is the leading solution. From account login to digital payments, Count is recognized for both its customer impact and technology excellence. Learn more at count.com.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to the Boise State Esports Arena. We are here to finish up our coverage of the NACE Valorant Fall 2022 preseason. Boise State is looking to pick up this win against Irvine Valley right now. They lost map 1 10-13. They picked up map 2 in the 4th overtime. So now we will have to wait and see who will take map number 3 of Bind. I'm your host, Brendan Braylad, and joined with me to call all of the action is Jacob Jem Palmer. As I mentioned, map 1, 10-13. Map 2, 15-13. What are you hoping for map 3?
So I think this one might open up more in favor of one team. I'm not going to say that it's a complete roll for either team. I think the losing team, whoever that is, probably maybe gets 5 or 6 rounds. But other than that, I think it's still going to be pretty clear for one team or the other.
All right. Predicting a harder stomp here rather than the very close matches. We thought map 1 was going to be a very hard stomp because Boise State was behind over 5, 6, 7 at one point, and then they clawed right all the way back up to 10-12. So they really forced Irvine Valley to clutch it up in the end. So we'll have to wait and see how Bind will pay out. But we want to go ahead and give these players all the help they can get, and we're going to do that through Doc's keys to the game, which are in Valorant incredibly important because these players have just been through so very much that I think that any of the keys can help them possibly. And I especially think they've been utilized calling abilities, which knowing the enemy's ultimates and what to expect is hard. It's harder to predict than like something like Overwatch where you can just hold tab and see who has it. So I definitely want to call attention to that. And also, the gunplay has been #1 in this game. It's Bola, Skies, Dynamo, Alt. I don't want to say the whole team here, but I'm saying the whole team here of just, they've all had their moments to shine when it comes to the gunplay. And when it comes to the side of Irvine, it's been Bola.
Yeah, Bola, in terms of the ones-on-ones he's had with Skies, because the Chamber's job, it's normally going to be to try to get that, initial first pick and then teleport away for safety. And just in the terms of Skies going up against Bola, Bola has been the consistent thorn for Skies, winning those one-on-ones. Bind is going to be very, we've seen Aldum come very much alive on the Raze, so I think that might bode well. I think they run it back with a Raze pick here because Raze just thrives on clearing out those small areas like Hookah on Bind. And yep, indeed, that's what we see. And we see Irvine Valley, they're actually going to be moving in terms of controller towards the brim. Boise State is also bringing out the Viper.
I like Boise State's comp here because of the Viper. I was honestly expecting a Sage to come out just for her wall because we've seen Boise State in the past wall and plant every single time on A consistently throughout prior matches. So the fact that they're now committing to a Viper instead definitely puts them at higher risk as the Sage wall can block bullets and Viper can't, but Skies wins the 1v1 against Bola.
One shot with the Headhunter will certainly do that. Must have heard my criticism and wanted to definitely improve in that. So now Dymo is going to have a great time over here defending on B. In fact, he's not even going to have to defend because Irvine Valley is still showing a bit of hesitation. They're going to pick up the spike and maybe try to drive it through Hookah. It looks like this... They're still trying to see if anyone from Boise State is going to push up through Hookah and just make sure that their Sky can rotate down through.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they go through mid and try to teleport across, or maybe teleport across and try to deny the rotation coming out from both Skies. And I believe that is J-Bag on the Sky. Or they just go full rotate right into the Rise and Brimstone, which in that case is a much harder push for them, but obviously they can see what we see. So it looks like they're just going to go for the A push and try to just simultaneously go for it. The hop comes out, and the double frenzy for Boise State pays off.
Yeah, great dodge of that blinding. They're going to use the teleport in the center to try to rotate over towards the Boise State in hot pursuit. Going to try to actually pinch them in through Hookah as Skies is taking
10 seconds left.
Taking the ball. Two shots with the frenzy. There you go for Boise State. They pick up the first round.
That was definitely something I don't think Irvine Valley was ready for, is they expected classics, and Boise State just went all frenzies. Or at least it sure seems that way. At least 3 of the Rippers had frenzies, and it paid off. And already we saw the Viper get the Bulldog. The return of the Bulldog. That did not fare for them so well on Haven, but maybe here on Bindle would be better as we take a look back of all the eliminations. Boise State consistently wins a lot of those. J-Bag with the dredge. J-Bag with the dodge. I can't say words, it's fine. My brain's just melting after a, what was it, 27 round?
Well, that's actually kind of a fair point, because that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of predicting this round might go a little bit longer than the others. Is normally when it goes to a round 3, I mean, we've been at this for 2 hours. Sometimes fatigue can set in. Team sets in for Boise State as they're trying to defend from Puka. Sky not going to fall as he picks up the Stinger.
Yeah, Sky's really been loving the Stinger. The Judge! We love seeing it. And then the Headhunter, but it's fine. The Judge! Boise State maintaining consistent control of sites and cutting off rotations from Irvine Valley. Bind has been their map so far. Yes, it's only round 2 of the final map, but as you mentioned, this is a very long commitment that these players have been in it for, that even the breaks, you're feeling the exhaustion.
Wall takes a bad engage and a 2-on-1 from J-Bag with the Judge. It actually from that far? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
We love the Judge, baby. Judge noted, that's all you need. Quote me on it. That's all you need.
Well, we'll see if Boise State, you know, they might be, feeling good enough to actually bring that out.
I'm so happy Judge was play there. He got triple with a Judge.
Well, he shouldn't have that range, but he still got it.
Respect. I think Irvine is definitely going to play much either longer angles or much more separated positioning, because that Judge has gotten so much value. On top of Skies with this Stinger has been very consistent all night. As J-Bag does fall, that's Judge down. Alden was at least there to avenge him as he falls to bulk.
Not too surprising, as Boise State is going to bonus these weapons. Yep. You still get 1 pick, which Prowler is going to go up through side spawn. Push Boise State back as they rotate up to Heaven.
Has the Headhunter to try to win these longer range engagements. Surprised how much off-site Irvine's had, but they can collapse so quickly that Boise State's just going to have to try to pick one and win that angle.
Ooh, I think Boise State is taking a risky play. They don't see this guy behind them in bats, and just leads to an unfortunate hit. Man, gets 2! Skies!
Oh! He had such little health, he could not take that poke. I mean, if you're going to get a triple, that's the time to do it, because he just denied so much econ from Irvine after they full bot. Eliminating 3 people who all full bot there is huge economic bonus for Boise State.
As we head into round 4, Boise State is going to be able to go for their full purchases. Actually, not quite full purchases, because we see Dime out here is settling for the small shields. And now they go rotating out with an aggressive push down to B. There's going to be no one near found. Instead, they're all near bats, and the word goes out to Boise State, so they go for the rotate. Irvine Valley still hasn't rotated up, and that's crucial because this chamber can now set up with the op from Heaven.
Irvine could try to rotate out, take teleporter, and go B, but that is such a commit. And after losing Volk to that setup chamber, as you mentioned, has hurt Irvine with their chamber having to be healed up by this guy as Plant goes down on A.
Spike
2 members
planted.
of Boise State will have to rotate over from B and try to go for a retake.
A whole lot of smokes being thrown out to try to put a dent in Boise State's enthusiasm.
Ooh.
As soon as they wear off, Skies does work with the op. Marina gets another and a showstopper in Lance. Oh, okay. I mean, I'll take it. It might lead to, well, it's not going to be a flawless, but still, pretty significant victory for the Broncos as they now go into defuse.
Okay.
Could still be a problem here, actually. Oh, on the push shot with the That's why you use it. I don't know if Boise State has enough time.
They get it.
They
They
just
get it.
barely.
Thinks that would work.
They fed that Brimstone 2 kills, so he charges his ult, pops it immediately. That was such a risky play that Boise State should have never allowed. That was such a huge misplay of, oh, he only has a sheriff, we can take him. No!
And they kind of bided their sweet time in defusing that too. It was a good 3 seconds where I was thinking, you know, they should be defusing this. But
Yeah.
they certainly bided their time, and they gave enough time for that Brim to throw a wrench almost in all of their plans. Now Boise State is going to be dealing with 2 ops, though. They got a double sniper build plus a judge for good measure.
Boise State playing with fire in that prior round as a huge push is finally coming out onto B, but it seems like they might rotate out of it as haven't even picked up Spike after dropping it here. Maybe want to try to get a pick before pushing it, as once again Skies, I believe Skies still has his operator on top of the tour de force now. Oh no,
nice use of the Prowler. That kind of negates the first shot. But he still gets it. He's caught because he gets dinked by a bullet. But it's still a trade for Boise State to keep them in a narrow 1-person lead.
Boise State looking very good here. Has the setup, long sight lines for this tour de force to get the value. But with that judge,
he's going to drop.
Gets the 1 shot, but is not enough. Maybe with the super shorty that does a hair bit more damage than the judge, but I respect the play of the commitment.
Face your fear!
So now Nightfall's gonna come out for Irvine.
30 seconds
won't
left.
ping anybody.
Oh, he's waiting with the orbital strike. Delay them a bit. The Skies can now rotate in with his tour de force. Oh, the teleport away.
Timing! Denies the plant as well, and tour de force comes out. Has 2 bullets remaining to try to take that Bolo. Misses the shot.
10 seconds left.
So Bolo takes it. Bolo, I expect you to just save the op here. Yeah, that is the smart player.
Boise State almost runs him down.
Do not push that. Why would you push that? You knew he had the sideline. Boise State making silly mistakes here.
You took that personally.
I did. Why would you do that?
You said it with such sadness in your voice. It's like a part of your soul died.
I don't understand. You knew he had the sight line, and you knew he could win that engagement with the operator, and you continue to push it rather than just either A, go back through teleport, or just push right, where he doesn't have the sight line.
I think they just got a bit too excited at the prospect of taking the op away from Irvine Valley.
But he wasn't even looking towards it. He wasn't trying to contest it. He was just trying to run past it. But with how consistent Bolo's...
Yeah,
I'm overthinking it.
Could have hit him out in the teleporter as well. Yeah, we just got to move on.
Hurts my heart.
Boise State, despite some interesting plays, is still ahead by 3 rounds. And they've smoked off Hookah, which makes Sadashi's job a bit harder.
I expect Seekers to come out relatively soon, because as we've seen with most guys, as soon as they got it, they use it, because everyone loves having the information of where players might be. But at the same time, I think Boise State might be able to immediately answer that, because the Seekers are going to be coming over from that B side. So it's just a waiting game of try to maybe get the first pick and then throw out the Seekers. Or
Skies holding down A short.
Still got that operator having so much money built up there. Oh, he saw that guy.
There you go.
Spike down.
Snipe and TP out from Skies.
Oh, Murky with a clean headshot.
30 seconds left.
So Skies rotating back up to Hall, and oh, he's just going to get the headhunter through the smoke.
You're doing him dirty. He even saw the head of the Rise, but barely misses the shot. He knows he's back there, and he's too focused to see Bolo take the top of the crates and get that sideline and the elimination.
Now, here's the thing.
left.
Boise State could get on top.
Oh, but Bolo was able to
They
they
still deny
Spike
the
down
plan
trade.
isn't enough.
He doesn't
I think
have
they
enough time.
No, he has enough time. Just enough.
And so Seekers come out to absorb the bullets and deny the elimination onto Bolo. This is a 1v3 situation that I don't know if you're That Bolo has the operator, so Bolo will get a triple there. Boise State so close to that round win. And we are only on round 6, heading to 7.
That was really. I still, even though Boise State lost that round, that shot through the smoke with the headhunter, I gotta say, I was not expecting that in any capacity whatsoever. So Boise State mostly going with a classic loadout, 1 Stinger and a Sheriff.
Bolo 9-3, trying to catch up to Skies, who's 11-3. It's been the battle of the chambers on this map. Early.
Going for, you know, sometimes during the same rounds you see the other team just charge forward, and they do that with a short, but it's only going to amount to just 1 elimination for Boise State. Instead, they've spread themselves out kind of thin and left B completely open for Irvine Valley, so they're going to take that with no resistance whatsoever.
Spike planted.
Boise State lost so much on that A mid push that they're just going to have to leave Bolo to just have free reign. I hope to take teleporter.
Teleports through, almost takes him out with the Stinger, and that was
They've been doing work with the Stinger and getting closer range, and he's going to get it. That's the operator down.
That is huge. That is a huge momentum shift over to Boise State. Speaking of headshots, might be able to get one with the Sheriff, but it's still evading him.
Oh! Right as the swing comes out, he's going to end up losing it. Knows there's one close, holding it. Gets the farm, sees this guy's head, tries to get through the wall. Unable to do so. Irvine only 2 members surviving. Scraping by this econ, losing that operator definitely hurt him. Who knew the Stinger? Just working out for Boise State after that 2 little tweaks to it has just brought it in line.
And again, Boise State has been able to do a good amount of work on their eco rounds. Getting very close multiple times to a Thrifty. It's going to evade them now. Cola doesn't have enough for the op, so he's going to have to settle for the Vandal.
Prepare for hellfire!
They are over the strike. And Viper Pit, yeah, brought out. The Viper Pit's just going to deny B completely. I mean, it doesn't completely. They can still push through Kuka.
Yeah. Bomb buddy out.
And he closes out one of the 4 routes, I suppose.
Seems Irvine is able to at least recognize and try to commit some utility. Yes, Skies wins the 1v1 against Bolo. That's huge for Boise State, as Bolo's just been that star player for them. Boise State having yet to take a loss here, making rotations over to B, finally realizing that they're full committing here as Rain is able to pick up a double. Even through Seeker's Dynamo picks up 1 as well.
Now it's just on to Volk, almost gets caught out with the Hawk. State with the 2-on-1 is able to get back a victory, stop Irvine Valley from going on a spree, and keeping the lead by 2.
A pretty strong victory at that, only losing the 1 member of Skies. They have to be feeling good after that, and so Irvine is going to take a very needed timeout. That does not surprise me, because it's any round that they have won has been by the skin of their teeth, especially with that plant of last round.
Yeah, I actually think that timeout was well-timed in just terms of messing up Boise State, because you hear one of the Boise State players kind of screaming out in frustration. They want to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on a very consistent roll. They've been winning their gunfights. Huge props to Sky, finally winning gunfights against Bolo, who's been taking kind of the edge off of him again and again, but seems Bind is where they've just come alive. They've learned everything they can, and now it comes down to winning these gunfights that they've been doing. So I think Boise State is looking on the up and up. And to go back to our predictions, you thought this was going to be a bit more of a stump, and it's 4-3 right now.
Well, I mean, I predicted that the losing team is going to win around 5 or 6 rounds. So
we have still wait to see what will come of this, as Boise State is able to go for a full buy here. Irvine's going to have to go for Sheriffs and Classics.
And 1 Tour de Force, so that could be the saving grace for them.
They have 2 Vandals, so 2 of their players were able to full buy. They went like half and half.
The Tour de Force is going to take a sight onto A short. Boise State holding down B, committing 3 members. In fact, one of them is holding down Hookah, which Irvine Valley is not pushing whatsoever. They got 2 members. thinking that they might want to push baths. They're going to throw out the dog just to see if they can catch out that chamber. Moving slowly up around the corner, and it's going to get smoked off.
You hear them picking up the ult orb, so he knows there's at least 1 to 2 people in that hallway adjacent to him over on A.
Irvine Valley definitely going for a split, trying to pick it up in 2 teams of 2. Whereas this chamber is just ever so slowly moving up A short. Still wants to keep the teleporter in play. But that tour de force is not really pressuring Boise State too much right now.
Yeah, Irvine taking it so much slower this time around. Boise State just going to have to hold strong and wait them out because time is on their side as we're closing in on that 30-second marker. They're finally going to have to go for the rotation and commit to a point.
30 seconds
Giving
left.
it to the Bola on this chamber with the tour de force. Okay, good. They made sure to swap it over as quickly as possible. They do have the nightfall to try to run in with us. Finally, the first hawk comes out. And as soon as they go through, Skies gets the double.
Nice trade, 2 for 1. J-Bay keeping. Oh, it's going to wait for the play. Actually,
One
straight to
enemy
drive
remaining.
him off. It hits its target. And now it's just 1 left for Irvine Valley. The hawk.
She does
try
have
to fly.
Showstopper to try to at least keep the odds and deny Econ, but Dynamo just gonna shut that right down. So Boise State with another strong round win.
They're going to think about who they want to give that ult point to. They're going to give it over to their Rays.
Which got value with the Showstopper last time they had it, so definitely think that is a smart choice on their part.
That was a great ambush there by Skies, and then Boise State has also, J-Bake's been on point of predicting where he needs to place these orbital strikes. They've almost all been placed very well.
Yeah. The Brimstone Beams have just been such a playmaker, as they always are, but he's just been timing them so well that they've made the difference. Even getting a double off of it was huge for his team, so now Boise State's gonna play actually pretty aggressive here to get that ult orb. Her gonna be scouted out by the dog. Yeah, 1 for 1. 2 for 2. Tour de force coming out from the Skies, able to pick up Soda.
In fact, the push onto B completely falls for Irvine Valley, so it's going to have to be through A. And there's still this standoff in bounds.
Ooh, beautiful hawk.
J-Bake
Capitalizes on it.
Player
wins
standing.
it.
Big pinch on that A main right side.
Spike
Now
planted.
Spike goes down. It's all the way down to tour de force. He does have 3 bullets, so he can afford to at least miss 1. But he's still up against Bolo, who has just been such a menace.
Oh, he didn't think about lamps. That's
So that will
rough.
cost them the round, but it is only 6-4 right now. It's anyone's game at this point. Boise State does have a much more comfy lead here, but they can lose it so quickly. And now, getting closer and closer to that swap, only 2 rounds away. Irvine's still holding on to their Showstopper and Nightfall for the past 2 rounds. I expect them to, I hope that they use at least one of them in this round.
Well, they could all save it up for the final round. There's really less of a chance that they're going to be able to charge it up before half. So they've just got to wait for the most opportune moment. Bola currently holding the spike. He's going to pass it off and move up through A short. Meanwhile, a lot of Boise State is centered around Baths. Murky still likes the idea of pushing up through there. He did so well last round. In fact, it's pretty clear that Irvine Valley is focusing all of their resources onto A. They throw out the Nightfall to catch out Boise State's fight.
And Showstopper back to back, and the Seekers, which was charged up. So Showstopper will land onto all of them. Trade out for Bola as Volt picks up 1 onto Ray as well. Stay down 1.
Oh, Danny gets concussed by that dog as they force him to just use his hawk.
Oh, Dad! Why does it go down?
That could be very crucial for Boise State. Now they're going to try to plant it again. But Tadashi is waiting on the rotation from Skies. Takes him out with the Phantom. Now it's just up to Daimo. A 3-on-1 and not an easy situation at all. But he gets 1. That's a start.
Nice rotate onto site, but Both of them pushing through lamps on the other side of the barricade. Here the defuse.
Yeah, it's just a bait. Oh, that's a great hawk. Oh, he's going for the half. Yeah, kind of difficult there. He went for the, for the risky play. I don't know if I actually
round
saw.
in the half.
I didn't hear the audio cue from that hawk. So I actually think the hawk might have flown past them.
Ooh.
So that's why they were able to push up. Yeah, he was thinking to blind them and then at least get it halfway. He just probably pressed it a little too.
I think he had enough time to hawk, push it, get the double elimination, and then defuse, because the spike had only been down for 10 seconds or less.
Smoke's down.
So I definitely think he had enough time to do so, but
before he can even bring out the judge, spray through the smoke. It's going to put Boise State in a world of hurt.
The double TP!
Misses. Both of the chambers want none of that. They're just trying to get their initial pick. Tries to peek out. Oh, and that chamber's moving so fast.
And he picks up one onto Dynamo.
Patience pays off
There
for
we
Skies.
Brings us down to 2-2. Final round before the swap. Boise State wants to get at least this victory to have that extra leg up going into their own attack.
Now this orbital strike could be the most important thing that J-Bag has. If he doesn't play too carelessly, he can play off of the audio cue here.
Oh, there it is. He's
there
waiting
it is.
for
He's
it.
waiting for it.
Oh, nice.
But it looks
fake
like
out.
Irvine Valley, yeah, they were able to anticipate that. So good on them for playing around that. They're going to throw out a Prowler into Lamps, put a bit more pressure onto J-Bag.
enemy remaining.
Double, and it goes 7-5 Boise State.
That's exactly what they wanted, and J-Bag
Switching sides.
delivered again on this. Brimstone has just been so quintessential on this map for his team right now, which you could say about any member of Boise State at this point in time, as they're fighting for their first season win of this NACE Valorant Fall Tournament. So now headed over to the attack. It's going to be all eyes on these early rounds to try to get maybe an early lead so you can buy and get those stingers, because Boise State's been able to capitalize with these stingers, and Irvine hasn't had an answer for them.
Yeah, Boise State's been really good on kind of their off purchases, being able to bonus pretty well, so they might try to do that yet again because they've been in that position most of the time. Despite a rocky start in kind of the first with Ice Hogs, they've been winning the first two rounds pretty significantly. A trade 1-to-1 in Baths. And Sadachi is going to pick up another with the paint shells. And Boise State even it up with Skies on the Headhunter. He's going to get smoked off. He throws down the teleporter, trying to get a shot out on toward A, but he isn't able to clear it.
Oh,
man,
instead
with
he wins the
wall bang
race,
on
and he
you.
gets
Wow.
it. Skies has really just slowed down his play, make sure he's sure of the shots, takes it, and gets it every time. And with such a good fake, they're going to rotate all the way down to B, that I think Irvine may not be quite ready for, because with how much Boise State had already committed to A, they're just waiting to see where they might appear from, because they have so much time to burn.
They might try to be in a fake, but Irvine is going to be rotating through center here, so it's going to be a big gunfight. He gets a headshot, making it a 2-on-1. And Boise State gets the all clear to go forward onto A. Just the fade left. They actually going to fake them out with the teleporter. Try to take them with the audio cue. And the clutch for Volk in the teleporter.
Talk about the fake out of the century. Boise State was not ready for just the bombardment of teleport. Or they never knew where to expect Volt, and Volt capitalized on it. Boise State having such a strong start as well.
Yeah, you almost have to wonder if they had just pushed up through A short, you know, in the traditional way, if they would have been able to, you know, if they had played it well enough, just get a standard 2-on-1. Definitely were trying to outplay Irvine Valley, but left them open. Now Boise State's going to be moving out through Baths. They're going to use the Hawk to clear out the corner. There's no one hanging out there, but Murky is hanging out a little bit farther up.
Smoke immediately coming out onto that A corner.
Oh, the shot from Marshall here. Going to have to settle for a body shot, and not even that. No damage whatsoever onto Irvine Valley.
Boise State still trying to decide where they might want to fully commit to, still just deciding between B and A in the mid with both Skies and Dymo all the way on that A side, ready to commit. With Skies getting a nice pick onto Murky with that after his smoke has already been deployed. They're going to commit to it, but they need to try to clear out that smoke. Will Skies get another just no scope through the smoke? He will not as they rotate out. Spike goes down.
Irvine Valley now to try the retake. Boise State, they want to press up through lamps, but they're not quite confident enough yet to do it. And Sadashi with the Spectre is going to make it hard for Boise State. They have to make the headshot. Doesn't find it there.
Player standing.
Yeah, the wrong one was the Storhoid, so he was unable to TP out. And now the Bulldog coming online for Danny right now is able to pick up a double, so they will get the defense and the ultimate point over to, I believe that was the Chamber.
It's definitely a dangerous ultimate, and it was a really rough position for Skies. Even if he had landed the headshot, that Chamber was coming in so fast, it would have been very difficult for him.
So now Boise State having to force by here with Irvine. Still having 3 members survive. They're definitely not feeling the economy hurt now, whereas Boise State needs to win here in order to try to get a leg up, as Irvine has closed the gap of their 2-win lead that Boise State had. Seems this time Boise State might just...
Oh, that was an interesting... that was an interesting exchange.
Grenade!
But we're moving forward.
Yep, just keep on going, because nice forces him out.
Now that they've dislodged Hookah, now they push forward here. Yeah, they're taking advantage of the effective 5-on-2 that they've made for themselves on A. With the super shorty, that was quite a spray. Boise State's still managing to make it work out and plant.
Spike planted.
Now there's going to be 2 left from Irvine Valley. Murky on the headhunter as well.
Last player standing.
Oldham can just outgun him here. Ooh, and he does.
He's so close for that one dink with that Sheriff, but Boise State is gonna win it with 4 members surviving. They needed to win big for money, and they get it, eliminating all of Irvine and the Spike down and losing only 1. Nightfall is available for Irvine, but at the same time they have Viper's Pit to try to answer and deny it. To wait and see what Boise State wants to play and committing here. I'm surprised they're not going B again with how successful they were on that site.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the few times that they have been pushing B has worked out better for them, but if they still work with the strategy on A, then especially if it's a Judge push, it's going to get blinded by the Hawk, has to wait. The paint shell's going to buy him the time. Still has the boom bot available too. Bomb bot, excuse me. Bomb bot that goes boom.
Words and things as they finally rotated over to B and still committing the rise over in Lamp, keeping at least 2 members tied up. So now Nightfall. It looks like she wanted the trigger, but instead they're just going to do Viper Pit right on top of the Spike. Smart play by Boise State to try to maintain their defensive position. As
there's Angle, puts down the dog, is able to get around the spray. Now it's down to 3-3 for both teams. The Viper is more content to just play the post plant, hang out in this Viper's Pit, try to get the angle, doesn't see the rotation over to the left.
Last player standing.
And with full force being applied, they're just going to clear outside as best they can. Irvine playing that very smartly will end up getting defused. Having to wait out the molly, actually. I think they have the time to do it. Yep, they got it.
So my prediction completely out of the window now as we are tied 8-8. I thought one of the teams was maybe going to cave more than the other, but both of them are matching each other down to the very last bitter round. We're in round 17. This is where the game should have been ending if my prediction was correct, but it's not.
So now, Ultimate Economy favoring Irvine with the Seekers and the Showstopper online, with Boise State only having the Seekers. They might be able to charge up the Showstopper with that Ult Orb and possibly a single elimination from Aldum, if they even want to commit that much, as they only do have a Judge.
Oh, the lineups.
Ooh, for the long
definitely
throw.
practice those. They throw out the dog for A short. They're going to get a sight onto the premise. They move forward with the satchel. Is it going to work out? It doesn't. Bola takes him out. Oh! And that is a filthy paint shells from Irvine Valley. It could
Paint
very
Shells
well.
has gotten so many eliminations this matchup.
These guys wins that one-on-one. Could be the start of the round. He's going to have to face the Prowler.
Falls right back to his teammate of Daimo, who's still steady in A, but they are the only two remainers, having only been able to eliminate that Rise. They do have Spike. They could try to go for a rotate to B, but with how much time is remaining, Irvine can easily rotate over and try to retake for post plan as they don't have that Viper anymore. They know Sky's still there with how much utility she is having to commit right now.
Oh, this guy's going to try to bait away the attention so the chamber
30 seconds left.
can try
Last
to catch
player
Murky off guard.
standing.
Murky maintains his position. Yeah, that didn't work out. Irvine Valley back into the lead. 1.
Boise State just back and forth, so if history's doomed to repeat itself, this is where they take the
now
round.
this is the time we need it.
Yeah, with how consistent both these teams have been and just back and forth, back and forth. Boise trying to regroup and figure out how they can try to pull ahead here, because the biggest lead we've seen in this matchup has been the difference of 2 rounds.
Yeah, neither team has allowed each other to get in any sort of lead. Teams are going to converse with each other, try to work out their strategy. You can see we're talking about the water bottles we've been going through. There's a lot of plastic on that stage right now. That's been, yeah, but they need all they can get. I mean, it's down to the wire.
This is the definition of a sweaty match with how much liquids these players have been consuming.
Look at that. It's Rocket League players Gil and Durtho in the front row there, cheering on our Broncos. Across games, it's always nice to have that team support. And a shout-out to the audience who is still stuck around through such a long match.
Long
you know,
match,
I was thinking as we go to Game 3, some people are going to need to go home. But no, they're sticking with the Broncos, trying to cheer them on.
Yeah, keep the fandom alive for this Boise State team. Give them the courage they need to try and win this out, because they're taking a tour de force up against both the Seekers and the Showstopper. Showstopper has definitely been in the favor of Boise State whenever it's been utilized, but the paint chips have just been
Let's play.
hell across the board, getting multiple eliminations. Prowler getting a lot of intel early on this A corner side that Boise State has pushed multiple times and not gotten the value they've wanted.
Not go now, just a spray, spray through. The smoke is going to be enough for Irvine Valley to get 2 picks right off the bat.
The frenzy though for JPEG.
Play JPEG.
Can pick up the running
we
smoke.
reset.
Huge reset for them
he
right now.
should be
Irvine's going to be sitting pretty far back now, recognizing the strength of a frenzy coming out. Things you never thought you'd say, but here we are. Tour de force pushing in pretty close range. It's one-on-one on the B site.
He's going to try to clear out elbow. Does the Rays recognize it? No. The Rays stays on point, so now Skies has the opportunity to take this very long angle down towards spawn. Is anyone there? And Boise State's going for the long rotate over towards B. I like that because there's only one person on B right now, and they have a great chance to clear this out, get themselves the advantage, the 3-2.
30 seconds left.
But the Brimstone's going to be in
hiding
the
out.
sidelines. Oh, the Showstopper!
Oh, right in the face!
Strike down B.
Problem is,
Skies
do they
has
realize?
Can he get the second one?
That blocks off the slow is really... Oh my goodness, you're not going to crouch peek that. No. Okay. Okay.
You get out of there real quick because you have Spike down. Now you have post play and you have the advantage because you have your Viper with you with the Viper's bite. Plays the same, sees the elbow, gets the shot, and that's a thrifty.
At a crucial point for the Broncos. They're going to pick up those guns, be very happy with their win. We are tied up again.
Round 19, baby.
That's a good spot.
Clarification. Irvine won round 1. Boise State in overtime, 4th overtime, I might add, wins Haven. You're unbind. This is the closest matchup we have had between two opponents of just every other round. Back and forth, every time. these teams are the definition of equally matched here. Boise State is trying to close out their first preseason game with a win, and it's costing them everything.
Oldham clearing out the corner with the paint shells. Everything's smoked off right now, so it's just going to have to hold back for a bit. That's the showstopper. Actually, it's going to move in with the showstopper off of the satchel. Doesn't see anyone on point. So instead, it's going to have to just choose a location to fire through, wait to the last moment. Orbital strike as well.
Orbital strikes coming in. Seekers as well. All the ultimates coming out here.
Boise State has it.
Elimination.
Actually gets a pick.
Something something I have never seen. Always been the paint chips, not the satchel charge.
Well, you can check that off your bucket list.
Is that a bucket list thing? But all right, I'll take it as Boise State trying to go for the recontest here. Bola takes control of Hookah.
Both so low on health.
J-Bag so far away from sight, going for the long rotation all the way
Last
to
player
Hookah.
standing.
Boise State loses it. Sky's only able to pick up one.
Oh, they
no one's
don't
on
have the
defuse.
time. Boise State is going to get it. Oh,
Collab
just on the
Blaze.
time Boise State manages to get away. In fact, they take the teleporter away, so that's even better news for J-Bag. He's able to keep his Vandal.
I would say that's a definite misplay from Irvine because they had the time to
Yeah,
defuse.
they had the time.
I think they were just maybe got a little bit blood in their eyes, too tunnel visioned on finding J-Bag and getting that final elimination for that little bit extra of econ because
I don't know.
they had time to defuse and just didn't go for it.
It's either that or they, again, I can't know exactly what's in their mind, but if I was to speculate, it might have also been they were both very low on health, so they figured that, you know, maybe one very good spray transfer could have taken them out. It's hard to say. But right now, as we go up toward Hookah, Autumn is looking to take on Bola.
Another B push coming out from Boise State.
Throws out the satchel, can try to bait him out, but he's not going to peek around that. Clear that one angle, chooses the wrong one.
I mean, I respect the corner checking just because it's been an issue for Boise State so many times in the past. But got a 50-50 shot in that situation and just didn't happen to win it. As it looks like Boise State's going for the big rotate over to A through the teleporter, which Irvine would have heard. But they might be able to follow suit as Skies will be the last one.
Oh, he's waiting.
Are they going all the way back to B to try to juke him out? They're juking the juke.
That is such a
biggest brain plays.
The problem is I don't think this guy's going to fall for it. They're still on B. And in fact, yeah, Irvine Valley gets wise to the plan. Now Boise State, they're trying to split up Irvine Valley, but
I would say this is ring around the rosy, but it's just back and forth. They're not even going around. It's just back and forth.
now this fade. Lamps is going to rotate out. Boise State now moving. Realize
Down A.
Denies the plane. They're going to have to plane immediately, which is he needs to defend the plane here.
Oh, okay, they got the
Spike
spike
down.
down, yes.
And Boise State is up a man. They should be able to hold it, but there is the stinger, and he still wins against it. So Boise State will finally have a lead here of 2 rounds. And picks up the super shorty. The most important part is the shorty.
most important part, yeah. Irvine Valley, wow.
Down to the wire is going to kick things off with the tour de force.
Yeah, that shorty play kind of won the battle but lost the war.
Yeah, I mean, it denied plant, which forced Boise State to just go all out, but then the Hawk with the blind to deny the spike plant was fantastic coverage and communication from the team. Committed to the plan, didn't have time on his side, and it worked out in the end. So Boise State, staying in this fight, is 2 rounds away from taking the game home.
Irvine Valley looked like they might have been trying to rotate up through A short, but
I've got your
defensive, they actually going to throw out a Prowler and then
Seekers.
rotate back out some more defensive positions. Alden close out paint shell. Doesn't get anyone.
It's going to take a little bit of poke damage, but with Seeker coming online,
Now that's huge.
running past the Molly as well. Huge leg up.
That's huge for the Viper because the Viper's pitch just came online for Boise State.
Alden!
They might save that for the final round, considering Alden is just
Boise
doing
State!
work. There's 1 left for Irvine Valley.
Spike plane, get that a little extra bit of econ.
They're concussed.
Looking for the final one. Spots out the Viper. Tries to spray through the smoke, and that's a flawless on round 12. They're on match point to take this game home.
I like the realization that Autumn was just doing enough work on his own that Boise State in this most crucial round is going to have one ultimate available to them.
Irvine has to be close to building him up, though. They did just commit the tour de force and didn't get any value from it, so that is something you can at least check off the board of what not to expect. Possibly the beam, maybe showstopper, Nightfall. Seekers was used about 2 rounds ago. So right now, Irvine has to be hurt.
Now another Hawk. Gets the blind onto Irvine Valley, so they just spray through the smoke. They're going to have to wait for that to clear out, however.
Sprays through the smoke has been a legitimate tactic here as they've gotten multiple eliminations for both teams here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look how far behind Bolo is. He's already in their spawn and rotating through. The Master Flank might pay off unless we get some God Flick onto click on his head.
Okay, okay, they're able to catch that out. That's actually really crucial. They're going to heal up as well.
And that's Bolo being the consistent star player for Irvine Valley, down with a ton of utility coming out for them as well. This is where we might want to see the spike plant go down, but no, they're going to rotate to B as 2 members of Irvine Valley also rotate to B.
You're going to take the long rotation.
Through Hookah.
That actually sends Skies out toward Fountain. Now, he's just one away from the tour de force himself, so this could be a real snowball for the Broncos if they're able to get one sort of pick, throws out the set, chip damage, tries to get Spike, he picks up 1, but it's still a 2v1 trade. Now it's 3-2, and gets it. It's all in the Fade who gets her.
Attackers win.
Fade had the possibility of trying to bring that back, but with the Vipers still in Hookah, able to deny, running right past it. The sweat of their brow, Boise State will take their first game of the season home.
That was a hard-fought victory. I mean, they had the ultimate bad start on Icebox because it seemed like that was Irvine Valley's, main strategy because Bolo was catching them in so many off angles. But they found a way not only to rally back in that round, but have the tenacity to stick through all 3 games and get the win in the end.
Yeah, Boise State was such a hard stop, was able to bring it back. So huge props to them. And this stream is brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there, so make sure to reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. But as we close up this very intense match of Valorant, we have to ask the question of player of the game because everybody on the Boise State roster had their moment in the sun. We have Irvine Valley's very own Bolo being their star player, top fragger every time. I have to ask, who's your number 1?
I don't necessarily have a number 1. It's evenly split between 2. I think Skies, the chamber player, if they're on their game, is always an option for the player of the game. But I have to say, Oldham had such an explosive performance on Haven. Ended up going past 30 that it could definitely be him. But it's going to be given to Dymo instead.
On map 2, got multi-kills that brought his team back. Not to mention this play alone, getting the triple to win out the round. Very well deserved coming out. So Dymo will be the ICCU player of the game, which is brought to us by the Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Daimyo will be the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. And what a night and game and series and whatever you want to call it was. These players have to be exhausted but so happy coming out with a win from that.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's a preseason game, so it doesn't technically count as a win. But, if there's anyone that Boise State was really hungry for a win in a team that was obviously very evenly matched with them, it was against Irvine Valley.
Yeah, so I have to ask, closing thoughts heading into Boise State's first season match. What are you hoping to see from them going forward.
Well, I just hope that if another team tries a strategy like Irvine Valley, that they just keep in mind that those off angles can be a key player. Because once they got used to them, that was even the fact. I think that early start on Icebox did not show how good the Broncos were. It was just kind of an anomaly, if you will, of them being caught off guard. So once Boise State gets used to the other team's strategy, I think they can match them up really well.
All right, well, we are ready to close out this broadcast with the top 5 plays, which are brought to us by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there, so to make sure to reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. Make sure to have a good night and enjoy these top plays.
It's a 1-to-1 trade with Boise State now down one person. Bola not going to get the advantage on the high ground as much as he wanted. With the triple, it's down to just one. He just has to play the post-planned game.
Boise taking their own strat, finally going for the high ground on the first time. Sees Murky, gets
an even bigger numbers advantage as the res goes through.
Yeah, if they can win this run without taking another loss, and of course, as I'm saying, that's Dachi coming out with the daggers, being a huge playmaker for his team. But J-Back with a nice flank. Sadashi gets another one. But finally, Boise State is able to collapse on it, and they
things out. Nightfall in response from Boise State, as well as human teleport, but is not going to be able to find the flank he was looking for. Bola eliminates him. Fighting in the smoke, comes out hugely in favor of Timeout. He picks up a double. Sky is also getting rid of Sadachi, and immediately things are just turned around for Boise State. It should be pretty easy, but look at Timeout putting on a clinic, and he's still at full health. He sees the Sage, the hair popping up between bullets, trying to bait him out with the defuse as well. It's difficult, but Timeout's finding a way to hold in there. He might get the collateral. He gets the quad. Boise, they don't have to really go out. They can take for favor unless Danny just drops down from above. J-Bag now has to go up 2-1. Get full on over Fago, he turns the cab. It's just 1-1. Can Boise State get it? He's gonna throw out the molly. He doesn't have any flying.